We had 16 down there. That number is very good. Good evening and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 6, 2019, and I'm calling this meeting to order at 2 minutes after 6. We do have a quorum. The majority of the council members are present. I got a phone call from Councilor Martinez, and he is stuck in traffic from Austin. We'll be here hopefully within the next 15 minutes. And it is great honor this evening to ask 3 Boy Scouts if they'll come forth and lead our citizenry and staff and counselors in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have David Falls, who is with Troop 17, Grace Fellowship Baptist Church, and Aiden Claver, Troop 485, and Zach Miller, 485, if you all come through, and they're with the Christ Fellowship Church. If you'll come forward and please lead us in the pledge, if everyone will stand, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Our future leaders.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you. Really appreciate your leading us today. Before we actually begin our agenda this evening, I was just sharing with City Attorney Denise Frederick. I don't know how many times we've done this, but we've done more moments of silence for tragic losses. And so let's begin this evening with the moment of silence in honor of the dead and wounded and other family members and just the cities in general of El Paso and Dayton, Ohio, with the mass shootings over the weekend. Thank you, and may their souls be resting in peace. All right, just a few other reminders. If you could please silence your cell phones. And also, we do encourage participation from our members of our audience this evening at all of our agenda items. But I do want to note that we do have public hearings this evening on 7.3, 8.3, 8.4, and 8.5. So that gives you an official public hearing to come up and give your thoughts on a particular agenda item. So we're glad for that. So let us now begin. Agenda item number 2 under presentations. It's with great honor that we ask Christine Bodley, CPP Payroll Manager, University of the Incarnate Word, and Karen Brown, Payroll Associate, KCI USA Incorporated, to please come forward. And we have a proclamation declaring the first full week in September as National Payroll Week in the city of Leon Valley. So, ladies, if you'll please join me at the front. She needs to be here. She's our payroll, and Vicki and Ashley. No, but I mean, it's everybody. It's finance. It's got the wrong proclamation. There we go. Thank you. Got this one. Thank you. All right, it's a long one. All right, and thank you, Sandra, for putting it together. All right, so let me read it, and then I'll ask if you could comment on it, please. National Payroll Week Proclamation. Whereas the American Payroll Association and its more than 20,000 members have launched a nationwide public awareness campaign that pays tribute to the more than 150 million people who work in the United States and the payroll professionals who support the American system by paying wages, reporting worker earnings, and withholding federal employment taxes. And whereas payroll professionals in Leon Valley play a key role in maintaining the economic health of Leon Valley, carrying out such diverse tasks as paying into the unemployment insurance system, providing information for child support, enforcement, and carrying the tax withholding, reporting, and depositing. And whereas payroll departments collectively spend more than $2.4 trillion annually, complying with the myriad of federal and state wage and tax laws, and whereas payroll professionals play an increasingly important role ensuring the economic security of American families by helping to identify non-custodial parents and making sure they comply with their child support mandate. And whereas payroll professionals have become increasingly proactive in educating both the business community and the public at large about the payroll tax withholding systems. And whereas payroll professionals meet regularly with federal and state tax officials to discuss both improving compliance with government procedures and how compliance can be achieved at less cost to both government and businesses. And whereas the week in which Labor Day falls has been proclaimed National Payroll Week, I hereby give additional support to the efforts of the people who work in Leon Valley, Texas, and the payroll profession by proclaiming the first full week of September Payroll Week in the city of Leon Valley, Texas. Signed by my hand on the 6th day of August, 2019, Mayor Chris Riley. Let's congratulate these women for their efforts in payroll. And please, we'll take a picture now. We'll take a picture. There she is. Oh, this is Angela. She's our payroll. Yeah. Guru. There we go.
So, Mayor, congratulations. Mayor, on behalf of the members of the Alamo chapter, Mayor and Council, thank you so much for allowing us to come and offering us the proclamation. And on behalf of the Alamo chapter, its members, and the payroll professionals throughout the country, we want to thank you for recognizing our efforts to sustain the economy, pay child support, and make sure that employees are paid. So thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Anytime. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Yes, you bet. Thank you. Yes, same to you. And do I have that second presentation next? Yes. Okay, let me get that. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then Councilor Rodriguez, if you'll please come forward. And let me read I've asked Councilor Rodriguez to please join me. This was her effort to proclaim the second proclamation, the week of July 21st to July 27th, 2019, as Probation Officers Week. And do you have some people that you would like to recognize?
Yes.
Please come forward. Good evening and welcome. I'm Mayor Riley. Deanna Martinez. Okay, yes. I'll let you introduce yourself. Deanna.
Hello, I'm Deanna Martinez. I'm manager with Bexar County Adult Probation. We're also known as Bexar County Community Supervision and Corrections Department.
Very good. Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Mary Helen Lopez. Thank you. And I'm the Assistant Chief for Regional Services, and one of my regions is at the Northwest location here around Leon Valley.
My name is Larry Rodriguez, and I'm one of the managers at the Probation Department at the Northwest office.
Welcome, Larry.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. So let me read the proclamation.
Yes,
Proclamation, I, Chris Riley, as Mayor of the City of Leon Valley, do hereby declare the week of July 21st to the 27th, 2019 as Probation Officer Week in the City of Leon Valley, Texas, and hereby publicly salute the service of probation officers in our community, signed by my hand this 6th day of August, 2019, Mayor Chris Riley. Let's give them a round of applause for their effort for keeping our community safe. And could you explain what y'all do? Just briefly.
Sure.
It's a safety issue.
Yes,
isn't it?
ma'am, it is. Probation has been around for years now. One of the things is everyone who is arrested does not go to jail or prison. You know, they'll get their day in court, and the judge will determine whether they will remain in the community or they will be incarcerated. Pretty much a lot of people are given probation, and that's because you have persons they're young, make a poor decision. It's just different for them in regard to maybe some of us and how they grow up. And so the probation office, it's a contract between the judge and the defendant. We call him a defendant, the person that's put on probation. And so we monitor the person out in the community. No, we do not have the ability to monitor them 24/7, but it's by them coming in to report. We do home visits. We will assess them to see what kind of needs there are. We also assess their risk. So we supervise them according to risk. And so if they need treatment, if they need alcohol education, if they need anger management, you know, it is our job to make sure that we send them to those things. And so, but our basic tenet is the community safety and security of everyone here in Bexar County. We have, I think, 5 sites. So we have one downtown, southeast, northeast. We also have one at southwest out by Lackland. Here in our site, we have about 3,000 people that are on probation. That doesn't mean they all come from Leon Valley, but they all come from the Northwest. No, they don't. There's,
Yeah,
but
but it's the zip code.
it's the zip code,
Close
so
to
we
the
see them. And so it's just best practice. We used to just have one office and everybody would go downtown. Best practices that we're engaged in the community, that families feel if they have something they need to share with us, or if a defendant just has a bad day and he needs some support, that, you know, the probation office is close to his home or his work. We want them to be successful. We really do. But if they're not willing to take the help and they're not open and it's just they're not ready, then we take care of that by they go to jail or prison. So it's a middle.
We're located at that shopping center at Gilboa and Bandera, in the same area as the JP2 and the auditors, Bexar County auditors. So that's where we're at.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. One more picture. Oh, no kidding. Oh, hi. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Yes, it was a pleasure. All right. Very good. Here's your Miss Crystal. There we go. Welcome. I'm glad you got here safe. I know that was a 3 hours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. All right. All right, moving then to presentations number 2.3. We have a presentation of the July 4th, 2019 wrap-up, and Ashley Wayman, Assistant Finance Director, who spearheaded the day, is here to give us a summary. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Is this on? All right. Okay, so just here to kind of do a quick wrap-up of the event. This won't exactly include actual budget items or total expenditures, because we have not received everything yet. So I have some, estimations in here, but we'll just go through it just kind of to get a good wrap up. So the purpose of tonight's event, or tonight's presentation, is to present the event wrap up for the 4th of July that was held on July 4th, 2019. Starting with our in-kind sponsors, we had a total of $6,391 worth of in-kind sponsors. SAT Energy provided our solar lighting. HEB gave us an in-store credit of $1,000 to use for food and drink purchases. Mariana Photography donated a photo booth, which was pretty popular among the guests from what I heard. Smash Dance donated their performance, and then Image 360 donated a banner for the parade. I do also want to mention Sunset Northwest Funeral Home donated the big tents for hospitality. So they do that every year, and they just come out and set them up the day before and then come pick them up. So we're always very appreciative of them. Our monetary sponsors for the event, the Leon Valley Economic and Community Development Advisory Committee with $16,250 in sponsorship. We also had Ancira, Leon Valley Storage, Tiger Sanitation, Miracle Body and Paint, Just Smash 'em Lemonade, who was also a vendor, and Randolph Brooks. Some other revenues from the event are wristband sales. We sold 629 wristbands. They were selling for $5 a piece. So kind of after backing out sales tax, about $2,900 there. Beverage sales, we sold 1,382 waters and sodas, $1,277 after sales tax. The Historical Society did their beer booth, and then after all their expenses, split the proceeds with us for allowing them to sell there at the event. So that was about $1,300. And then for our booth and truck rentals for our vendors, $4,400 for a total of $9,927. So the expenditures for the event, as of today, are still $67,266. We are waiting for some pretty large invoices still, so this is definitely not complete. As of now, park setup was about almost $23,000. The entertainment about $18,000. Advertising and signage $6,846. Miscellaneous of almost $5,000, and then overtime of $14,044. That does not include any police overtime. They did not spend anything out of general fund. This was only general fund overtime. So there was a little bit more. Excuse me. This again is just an estimation, kind of summarizing everything I talked about already. I do expect our expenditures to be closer to $85,000 once all of our invoices have been received. So it could be a little bit more than that, but we're expecting about $85,000. Just some event feedback. The 5K, from everything I've heard from the Historical Society and everyone else, was very successful this year. We're very happy to partner with them and help out on that event however we can. The parade also went well. We did receive some feedback about the parade order and lineup, just kind of things to look at for next year. We generally we kept it the same a few years in a row, so we'd like to mix it up and help get some of our Leon Valley organizations closer to the front of the parade. Also, the restrooms at the church, I think there was a bit of a mix-up and they were supposed to be open. We did end up getting the convenience store next door did allow us to open up those for the people in the parade. So it worked out, but we definitely want to next year coordinate that a little bit better. Moving on to our actual festival, I have to say the event went very smoothly this year. Every department here all chipped in and helped and really made this event run really great, even though Mary Bell wasn't here to kind of keep the event moving along. She definitely made it very easy for me to step in and pick it up, and everyone really helped out a ton. There were a few little things that we do need to do some tweaking to make a little better for next year. We will work a little bit on the advertisements. The postcard had a whole lot of information on it, but not necessarily the start time, which was important. So we will make sure that that's on there next year. And then one street banner that the company had used was from a previous year, so it had a 10 a.m. start time. So we did have a couple questions about that. The opening ceremony started a little bit earlier, I believe, than probably should have. Most people weren't in the event yet when this started, so we're thinking at least 15-20 minutes, get more people in the event, and then start those ceremonies next year. Gates and security, we do need to kind of clean up our security a little bit. We did not end up wanting those entering the gates, which I think would be a good idea for next year, just to kind of keep our security consistent. We may want to revisit the turnstile idea, possibly to get good counts of the people who are coming in, maybe just some more controlled access. The ATMs, we did have ATMs this year. It seemed to be pretty successful. There was always a line. One of them didn't work of the two we had there, so we'd maybe like to find some more reliable ATMs and possibly put more because they were utilized by guests. We did have some suggestions for the city booth, mostly from those in attendance, that we have more options for drinks, soda options, name brand, other things like that. That we'll definitely work out those kinks a little bit next year. Those drinks were purchased with the generous donation from HEB, which does require that we get their brand when we're purchasing. So we'll definitely work on that next year and do a little more planning. A little bit of feedback from the shuttles. We do need to reserve handicap accessible shuttles for next year, at least maybe one at one of the locations or one at each location. We're not sure what kind of option they have there, but we'll look into those. We did get a request for more lighting, higher fireworks, and then maybe to start those fireworks a little bit earlier so that way they're not going quite so late into the night. And then finally, the end time. This schedule that we did this year, I believe Sandra came up with it last year. It really calmed the traffic exiting the event. We still had the music going on for a while after the fireworks were over, so some people kind of left in waves, and it was a lot calmer, though there was a complaint about loud music a little bit later, so we can definitely revisit ending it a little earlier, starting the events or the fireworks a little bit earlier, and kind of bringing that time back a little bit. In our C statement, and our fiscal impact. As of right now, we know there will be a need to be a budget adjustment made. It will all come from sponsorships, so none of it will affect the general fund reserves. So it's going to be just a budget adjustment to get those sponsorships reflected over into our budget. And with that, I will take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, and my apologies for my cough. I don't know how I got a scratchy throat right now. The attendance estimate.
I believe we decided about 20,000. We did get a big aerial shot from the
Aerial
top.
shot shows 20,000 people? Really?
Done earlier
Okay.
in the event, but as we got closer to when the music was playing.
Okay.
And so I was at the exit, and so I was trying to do like 10, 20, like trying to like mentally count.
Mm-hmm.
Again, next year I will pitch the dollar entry fee. I think it's a great way to keep count of how many people have entered the park, and so and it's a minimal cost, and I think it's a great way to keep track. The turnstile, we've tried the clickers, we've tried turnstile signals, and so we had taken a dollar entry fee, and we did get 20,000. That would have offset the cost of the 4th of July parade for the city budget. We all spent roughly about 46,000 from the city side. So we would have charged the dollar entry fee. That would have helped, and you would have been able to keep count of how many people entered the park. So as we present for next year, you'll see that come out again. But I'm estimating, because I was on one side of the exit, and so I'm estimating, with that plus the other exits, we're thinking about 20,000.
Okay, all right. And we didn't have any firework costs this year, so
No, ma'am, correct.
that
Yeah,
would
that
be
will be next year.
next
There
year,
will
so
be a
that
cost.
expenses would be increased.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and something I meant to ask, but maybe you could get it to us because you still haven't finalized everything. Could we get a cost comparison of the last, maybe not 2018 because we didn't have an event, but 2017, 2016? Just how much it cost us then versus how much it's costing us now, and
Sure.
I mean, just so we could see where our expenses are increasing, where our
Absolutely.
revenue is increasing.
Right.
And I was also thinking of, maybe sending a letter early to a mass letter to the businesses of Leon Valley early to see if they want to sponsor for
Okay.
next year, just to see, plant
We
that
can get
seed.
some more sponsors in
So,
earlier.
just an idea. So
Okay.
that does offset the cost of the event.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will work on that, the year to year, and maybe give it to Mary Bell
Okay.
for the next, when she does the actual
I appreciate
budget.
it. I don't know. I'm just curious as to see. It seems like it's going up to me from when we first started, and
Right.
I just wanted to verify that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. So questions? Yes. Councilor Martinez.
Your idea is excellent on trying to get sponsorship notices out early, but that's something that needs to be done in the October-November timeframe for next 4th of July, because a lot of companies plan their expenses before the first of the year, and they only have, like I'm a small business, I only have so much money,
Right.
and
Yes, sir.
the first one, first come, first get. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we need to look at that early.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Counselor
When you do the
Aug6.
final thing, if you'll separate the rides from the entertainment, I'd
Okay.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
And I just want to say thanks, Ashley, because you picked up in the middle and you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
You sure did. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone at our chambers this evening on the 4th of July? It was a great event. Thank you. I look forward to next year. All right. Then moving to presentation number 2.4, presentation of an update on the Soapbox Derby event. And we have Maribel Mendoza, Special Events Coordinator, here this evening to present. And welcome back.
Thank you,
We're
Mayor.
glad
Thank you,
you're here.
Council. So now as we move forward to our Soapbox Derby event happening October 12th. And the purpose of this presentation is to give Council and Mayor an update of what's going on with the Soapbox Derby event. Whoa. So we currently, on this slide, there's currently 16 participants, and actually I just confirmed about maybe 20 minutes ago before this meeting started that we have 20. So we have now 20 participants and missing 4 cars. So we're still pending 4, and I've contacted several of our businesses. I'm just pending their response. Hopefully by the end of the week, we can confirm the complete 24 cars, which we are having for this year's Soapbox. And the event is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The race will begin at 8:30 in the morning. The same route as last year's Soapbox Derby will be going down Evers, and we will have about 12 barricades, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7 or 6 street closures, which we will send out postcards to all of Leon Valley residents, letting them know about the road closures for that day. I believe in the earlier presentation we had discussed, or council suggested having the community conference center grounds for all of the vendors and booths. But being that we do have events happening at the community conference center, which helps us with our revenue, and we don't have to exclude that weekend out, staff suggested to have it at the corner of Evers and Poss, about 5 to 6 vendors, and having the award ceremony there. So having all of the event close by, right down Evers, right where the kids race. So these are projected expenses and revenue, again, assuming no sponsorship, since this is the first time we'll be hosting this event as its own standalone event. Expenses for this year, and again, this event actually falls in 2 fiscal years, so we'll be paying off some of it in this fiscal year, and then also some expenses for next fiscal year. So expenses for this fiscal year would be our liability license being sanctioned by the actual Soapbox Derby, hay, a track, which is a one-time expense, and I do have a slide for that will kind of explain that cost of the track for the race. Postcards, again, sent to all our residents, informing them about the event and the street closures. The announcer for the race car drivers and all of their information. Signs, banners, trophies, and miscellaneous items. So it's about a total of $12,000, and that's also getting the numbers from the first year we had Soapbox, and just estimating what it would cost without any sponsorships. And the expenses for next fiscal year, so staff suggested fencing around that area, but speaking with the police department, there really isn't a secure, safe way to actually fence all of Evers and then come down to the Poss area. So we excluded that and then just added porta potties for that event. Electricity, another staff suggested was having only food trucks, which are self-sustained, so we wouldn't need electricity out there since they have their own food truck. They provide all of the electricity they need. So we can eliminate that cost, and that definitely would help us. And then projected overtime is $15,000, and again, that's going based off of last year's numbers and then just estimating what that would cost. But again, speaking with staff, we can definitely reduce that amount by using reserved officers, and then some of it, I believe, coming from our traffic safety fund, because majority of our staff will be setting up barricades and for traffic safety purposes. So we would definitely try to reduce that amount coming from the general fund. And then projected revenue, so instead of, the booths, we would have the trucks. We would charge our food trucks $150 entrance fee, entrance fee similar to our 4th of July. We would have 6, so total of 900, and then water and soda, again, just an estimated amount of what we sell, because we still have some leftover water and soda, so we can sell at the Soapbox Derby event. And then a sign-up fee. So the participants from last year, there is a $50 entry fee that would help reduce the cost of like extra weights for the cars, tires, because they are switched out every time they race for safety purposes. So that is also an expense. And this is the track. So there's a couple of options for the track down Evers. I know last year we had hay that went all the way down Evers, or I believe more than halfway down Evers, and we ended up paying for the hay because it was just rented. We didn't purchase the hay. Now to rent the hay, it would cost around $2,000, and again, it'd be rented, hoping that it doesn't rain and we don't have to pay for that expense. Or this is another option, which is all of these options are actually showcased in the Soapbox Derby Association safety guides. So they suggest hay. They also suggest PVC piping, 4 inches to 6 inches, depending on what the city would like. This is the most cost-effective way, according to what the Soapbox Derby Association claims. And this one is a one-time expense, and then every year it's just maintenance if anything's damaged. And Public Works helped me estimate this out, and it's around $5,000 to get this track from where we need it down Evers. And again, one-time expense, but it will, we would just pay any type of maintenance fee it requires, if anything. There's also cones. We can put cones all along down Evers. That would be either, if we rent those out, it's close to $3,000 to rent out the cones that we need for Evers Road, both sides. So staff recommended doing the PVC piping be ours. We keep it, one-time expense. Next year, hopefully, if there isn't any damage or much damage, it'd be a small expense. And then with the hay, we only need a small amount of hay just for the finish line to show where the line ends, but not necessarily to go all the way down Evers. So that would be a small expense on hay, and that'd be every year, because I know we don't, want to purchase it, being that sometimes you'll have snakes or rats accumulate in there, and we don't want to have to keep it stored somewhere for years to come. And the sandbags would be just from Public Works, is something we already have, so it wouldn't be an expense.
And Maribel, is that track from, let's see, Evers and Huebner all the way down to...
Not all the way from Huebner and Evers. It's
Okay.
mostly where if I'm not mistaken, right where we line up for the parade.
Okay,
that parade.
So by the convenience store.
Correct.
Yeah,
From
right
there
there.
all the
at
way down, if I'm not
church.
mistaken,
Okay,
yes,
so
ma'am.
it's not all the way to
Not all the
Huebner,
way up down. Yes, ma'am.
but still on both sides
Correct.
to keep the cars in line.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Basically.
Mhm.
Okay.
And our current monetary sponsors so far, we have Leon Valley, the Economic and Community Development Advisory Committee. We have Miracle Body and Paint, and then HEB just received that this morning, has also helped out. And I do have other pending sponsors, but I didn't want to say yes yet since they haven't given me a confirmation. But there are about 5 to 6 other sponsors that I'm waiting on confirmation to help us with the Soapbox Derby. So my next steps, continue to seek sponsorship from our local businesses. I have last week been to some of our local dealerships here. I did go back to Ancira because I know they were interested, but unfortunately they said since they helped with their 4th of July, they want to stick to the 4th of July and not included in the Soapbox Derby. So I will also send postcards to all the residents and communicate in person about the closures to the most impacted residents along Evers and Pa. So they're aware of the closures. And then I'll continue to give City Council Mayor updates on any new information I have with the Soapbox Derby. It does follow our C statement, and I stand for any questions.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify the expenses. So we've got 15,700 in 2019, and then we've got 12,000. Excuse me, 12,000 in 2019 and 15,700 in 2020. So you add that together, that's 27,700 plus the track.
That's included the track. If you see there, you have the track one-time expense there. But I just had a
Oh,
separate.
Okay, you just separated that out.
Correct, so I can
then-
explain the details of
so
the
then-
track.
So it's 27,700 is the total expense?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
assuming no
so-
sponsorships.
Oh, I'm glad to, thank you for pointing that out, because I thought it was an additional 5350. Okay, great. And then you have 17,250 right now committed for revenue?
Correct,
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
very good, thank you. That's what I was wanting to know. Anyone else? Yes, Counselor Martinez.
Are the, are the Explorers going to be helping the police on this event?
I'm not too sure. I haven't spoken with our police chief about the Explorers, but I mean, definitely anyone I can
Volunteers?
reach out.
Okay.
According to the police chief, he's going to have the reserve officers helping,
Right.
and so I assume the Explorers will be helping as well, but I've not confirmed that, but I know the reservists are helping.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Counselor Martinez, Counselor Alcacer, excuse me.
I like the idea of the track because if anybody didn't go the last time, it's well worth seeing it. The kids were so good with each other, encouraging each other. We had several children who had various handicaps, plus age was a discrepancy. The young girls did the best, but the track will help them keep in line. Some of them definitely had a problem, and since people tended to sit on the hay even though they weren't supposed to, it'll keep them away from that. That'll keep them right on focus of where they're supposed to be, because some didn't know how to stay in line and things. So I think that's an excellent idea. I like what you're doing.
Very good. If there's no other comment on this side, I was talking to a mother whose son participated last year in 2018, and he's grown up and he can't participate this coming year because he's too big. So I didn't realize it was a size
There is, yes.
limitation too.
Size and age.
Size and age, yeah. So anyway, even though he loved it, yes. Counselor Bradshaw.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the PVC track, is it anything special? Is it just regular PVC? You said 4 to 6 inches or something like that?
Regular PVC.
Oh, have we approached like a Home Depot or Lowe's or anybody to see if they'd sponsor?
Yes, so our Public Works Supervisor, Michael Tristan, has actually contacted a company that they work with to see if they would help with the cost or if not sponsor it. So we're still working on that aspect, so hoping to get a response by the end of this week, because I know it's definitely crunch time to get all this going.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's a good idea.
So I think the point is this probably is worst case scenario, because we're assuming no sponsorships, we're assuming
Correct.
no.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If there's no other questions from the dais, is there any questions from our participants here in the chambers?
I just have one
Yes.
clarification, because at the last council meeting, council requested that we look at merging like music in the park with the soapbox derby. We tried to do so, but both centers were rented for this time.
Okay.
So if council wants to add music to this event and relocate the vendors into the Veterans Park area, and do entertainment, then we would have to have a line item for entertainment and probably more booths at the Veterans Park if council wants to merge those two events. But we try to get music for this event, like maybe something to happen during intermission to play in the street while the kids are changing out. And so Maribel's still looking at maybe like a free band, like, school band or.
I'm in contact with John Marshall right now to see if they're going to have enough of their team to help with this event, since they're going to be in competition and football games.
Right,
And,
exactly.
right.
But I just wanted y'all to know that we followed up and we took a look at it. But if that's something y'all want to do for next fiscal year or next soapbox derby in at 21, then it's just something that y'all would have to budget for.
Okay. All right. Any comments on that? Okay.
Thank you.
It's a full day.
Yes, it is.
Alrighty. Thank you. Really appreciate your efforts, Maribel. Thank you. Moving then to agenda item number 3, our city manager's report. Ms. Kinsler.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. This should be pretty brief. Denise and I both signed the interlocal agreement for the HALT gate system. I hope you remember that. It's the one from Bear County that I've been working on for like 3 years now. Remember, it's gone through. So it's signed on our end. They're free gates, so that if the street's flooding, the gate will automatically come down it's an automatic gate, and the fire department doesn't have to go and and construct those or put the barricades up. What's happening right now with Bear County is they're looking at putting on the September 3rd Commissioners Court agenda for approval, and they're hoping it'll be signed then, and then we can start with the installation of the halt gates. So that was a long process, but we're seeing some sunshine here at the end. CPS is having a Suburban City Summit this Friday. Melinda, Mr. Dimmeline, and Xavier Antu will be attending on behalf of the City of Leon Valley. I want to thank Lieutenant David Anderson. I don't think he's around, but we just did a calculation last week, and he has acquired over $237,000 worth of equipment for the police and the fire department from the Department of Defense. This is a program where the Department of Defense has their excess inventory and is basically handed out to other government agencies. And Lieutenant Anderson did this while he was working for the city of San Antonio. And now the Leon Valley taxpayers are reaping the benefits of what he learned in San Antonio because he's doing it for us. And so kudos to him. He's more than earned his salary, that's for sure. So wanted to thank him for that. The other thing that I'm just thrilled and fascinated by is what I was just handed a while ago. So this afternoon, Melinda Moritz, Mayor Riley, and I spoke to a representative from FEMA regarding the 300 or so homes that are in Leon Valley, which are in the floodplain, which used to not be. And with FEMA's assistance, we've come up with a potential solution to maybe provide some relief to those homeowners. And I didn't realize how easy it was until I got these documents, so I'm really excited to show you. Basically, the city has to certify that the home is grandfathered in, i.e. that means it was built prior to it being in the floodplain, and that it had proper permitting. And so I thought that the onus would be on the homeowner. It's not. We can write a letter from the city simply stating that they're grandfathered in and that they had their permits. And if we do that, the homeowner can take this to their insurance agency, and it could cause a reduction in their premiums. And the reason I say is could is because we are thinking that some people's insurances are already doing this. So we're just going to have to figure it out. But it doesn't mean that this takes the homeowner out of the floodplain. It just rezones them. And so this is a home that Melinda looked up just a little while ago. And how long did it take you to get these 3 documents for me?
Well, not counting moving Brandon's boxes. Probably about 15 minutes.
Okay, so for one home, and of course we would get better and faster, but here it is. It was zoned single family. It was approved in 1970, so we've got that done. Here is the map that shows the home is in the floodplain right now. Here is the map which shows the same home when built was out of the floodplain. So it's really easy for us. We have the documentation. We can verify on city letterhead that this was done. And so we just sampled one home today to see how easy it would be to do it. And it was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And so we're going to do a couple of samples on a couple of homes, and then we will get the process started. The other thing that Mayor Riley had discussed with FEMA, sorry, I got so excited I showed Councilor Charles this earlier. The other thing that Mayor Riley had discussed with FEMA was coming in early November, like November 1st and 2nd, and doing a community workshop for all the residents that reside in these affected areas. We're going to try to start tackling them one by one, but we can do a workshop letting them know that, there is a possibility that you could save on your homeowner's insurance. It's not going to take them down, the rate down to the amount that it would take them down to if they were out of the floodplain, but it'll help them some. And so I thought it was great, and I was really happy to see how quick the research it took and how easy it would be for us to write one of those letters and feel very comfortable about putting that on city letterhead.
I just wanted to add that the way this came about is that U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro, who is our representative in Leon Valley, his administrative assistant approached me at 4th of July. So this is not even a month. or about a month, and she said, you know, he sends his congratulations on our 4th of July, and he wants to know, is there anything you can do, that he can do to help you? And I went, oh, yeah. FEMA. That's been a big thing for me for many, many years now. And so she immediately just got on it, and we started talking to the regional director in Denison, Texas, and that's who we talked to today. So, and then I think you were out of town, so I approached Melinda, and so she said, oh, yeah, we've got all the documentation, so thank you for everyone's help. But it'll at least give some relief, we're hoping. And it has to be individually done. It cannot be like subdivision. It's got to be individually done, but
Individual
it's doable.
addresses, no blocks.
It's doable, so.
Yeah, it is.
anyway.
It is.
And we need that flood insurance because I think I've already said this, or I think I wrote it in the Lions Roar. My sister-in-law was affected by Hurricane Harvey. She had flood insurance. She got relief. They had to move out for 5 months, but she got her house fixed. The majority of the people in her neighborhood did not have flood insurance, and it still looks like a war zone. So that affects our property tax value. So that's going to affect our bottom line. So this is the impetus of why I wanted to be sure that we tried to find a solution to try to get people to get to have flood insurance. So let's keep our fingers crossed. But thanks for your efforts today.
Absolutely. And it'll
appreciate
still affect our ad valorem taxes because they're still in the floodplain. But in a few years, hopefully, we'll have a lot of them out.
Yes, exactly.
And then finally, I have on the city manager's report under Grandparents' Day is to be determined for the time. We have a definite time now. It's from 2 to 4 p.m.
2 to 4.
So
Okay,
just wanted to update that.
Councilor Aug6 there had a question or comment.
Just wanted to add on the flood insurance, grandfathering makes a big difference in the cost of flood insurance, so hopefully it works for people.
I hope so.
Okay, so I just had a couple of questions on your report. Does it really take 16 weeks to get a new generator for our Grass Hill? That's almost 5 months. I just was really
Linda can
surprised
answer
when
that.
I read that, and I just wanted to go, what? I mean,
Yes, and so that means the money that we have in this fiscal year, I'm going to have to come to you October, first meeting in
For a budget
October to
adjustment.
get a budget adjustment to move it.
Okay, very good. And then I was just wondering, as I was going through your report again, Ms. Kinsler, there were 30 vehicles that were impounded, and I was just wondering, could we give the reason why on your report? I mean, like, is it no insurance? Is it police warrant? I mean, I just don't know. I was just wondering, or is that confidential? I didn't know. I was just
I actually thought it was on there because we get it in a staff meeting.
one-sided released. I don't know.
Mayor and council,
Keep looking down and see if it's on there, Mayor.
Well,
I'm just wondering if we
things that-
chopped it
reckless
out.
driving is one, but I don't know if it's consistent.
One of the things, Mayor, that it could be, Mayor and council, is that they get stopped with no insurance or no driver's license. If they don't have either, the car is towed in most cases.
Okay. Yeah, it says traffic stop, but I didn't know, yeah.
It says 7 of them are for code violations.
Code violations. On the,
And then 13 are for traffic stops, is what the city secretary just told me. I don't have it in front of me to reference,
But
I'm sorry.
I was
do-
just,
I
you
do
know, as I was
remember-
reading it, I had those
Yeah,
questions.
this morning he
Okay.
did say that was 7 of those were the code violations, because I remember that was brought up at the last meeting as a discussion. So when he said that this morning in our staff meeting, I remember
A code violation for a vehicle being
the
impounded?
code violations, there were only, of those, there were only 7.
Okay. All right. Yes. Councilor
What
Martinez.
would be a code violation or an example of a code violation?
Do you know where Chief Salvaggio is?
Hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, didn't mean to, I was just curious as to how a vehicle gets impounded.
An example of a
Yeah.
code violation would be a junk vehicle.
I'm sorry. Mayor and council, one of the things a code violation would be is if the car is parked, it's mechanically unable to move and it's parked visible to the driveway or visible to the public going by, or there's cars in the backyard. That would be a code violation, and there's no fencing around it to hide it from public view. So those are two of the things that I can think of right now that would be code violations for a car being towed.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Any other questions from the dais or from the members of our chamber? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kinsler. So we'll move on to citizens to be heard. Agenda item number 4. Do we have any citizens that would like to address the council? Please come forward, state your name and where you live, just generally, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Riddle, and welcome.
Yes, Brandon.
Yes, it's Philip Riddle on Rousseau Street. And I was out walking one morning and stopped to talk to some people that had just bought their house a couple of weeks ago over on Rue La Lane. And they were having their sewer line replaced because it was stopped up. Evidently, the house had been vacant for a number of years. And they really talked up the public works group that came out there, tore out the sidewalk, and gave their plumbers access into the sewer system. They said it saved them a lot of money because our public works came out there and helped. So I just wanted to mention that in case anybody in public works is up for a raise.
Oh, no. Okay. Thank you, Philip. Do appreciate it. All right. Anyone else?
I believe also when you're ready, Chief Salvaggio's there, ready to answer your question.
Good evening, Kim, and welcome.
Kim Crawford, 7007 Forest Mont. I've been working evenings, so I apologize if this has already been addressed, but we recently got that animal survey in the line drawer, and I want to ask you, City Manager, when and how are we going to get the results of that?
We actually have a box full of them sitting in my office, and we have not started on the results yet, compiling the results yet, but we will do that.
Do you know about when? I know there's a lot going on.
When was the deadline for those? I'd have to go get the lines drawer and look at it, because they're still trickling in.
Oh,
I still have a
I turned
few.
them in at the front desk on the day it was due, so it was about a month ago, I think.
Let me take a peek. Yeah, I know we're still having some coming late, and I hate to not, we want to include everybody.
Yeah.
This is not the right one. Is this the newest one? Yeah. It's not, it's in the one before that one. Yeah. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll get a calculation by the end of August and attempt to get the results out to council in September. How does that sound?
Great.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Any other citizens that would like to be heard at Citizens to be Heard? Okay, seeing no one else. Chief, we just had a question about vehicle impoundment and the reason why the vehicle was towed or impounded.
So on the
On
manager's
the
report? Right.
City managers. And so if you could.
I can't drill down any further than that, than what it shows there. If you're asking for VCOs, I'd have to go back and have them pull up each one to find out what the VCO was. I'm not sure that there was any VCOs during this time period. I know that violation of city ordinance.
Okay, very good.
That's what you were asking about, right?
Well, I believe Saunders said there was
7 for the month, but during this time period, I'm not sure there was any during this time period, because this is only about a 2.5 week time
2 weeks,
period.
right. So if it's not a violation of a city code, then what else would be a reason? No driver's license?
So you have vehicles towed at 52, traffic is 45. So traffic means that there's no driver's license or no insurance or some other reason that they were arrested that were traffic related.
Okay.
And then arrest is if they made a traffic stop and found something criminal during the traffic stop, and they arrested them. So 5 of them went to jail and their cars were towed. So 45 of them were traffic. Arrests were 5. I can't tell you what the other 2 were right now, but I can find out for you. It's easy. Are you wanting to know specifically which violation of city ordinance it was, which ordinance as well?
No, I was just curious as to how they became impounded, but you've answered it. Arrest and no driver's license, no insurance is traffic, right?
And
then you said VCO, which is a violation of the city code.
Correct. And I have the other numbers for the entire month. If you want those, I can give you those. And I'm pretty sure it was 7 VCOs for the entire month, if I remember correctly. And but I don't have the numbers in front of me.
And Mr. Martinez, did you need a more specific answer, a violation of city ordinance? Okay, very good.
And that's not necessarily expired registration. It could be parked in the yard. They didn't move it. It could be a junk vehicle. It could be on the street. It could be
Sure.
anything that a city ordinance. We have a plethora of city ordinances.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that clarification. Yes, sir. Hello, Chief.
The other two are mine.
The other two are yours.
They're
For
car fires.
car fires.
They're car fires where we impounded the vehicle.
Okay, very
That's
good.
the other two.
Car fires. Okay, thank you. See, learn something new every day. Okay, thank you. All right, then announcements by the mayor and city council members. Councilor Charles, do you have any announcements this evening?
I was just going to say to the Department of adult probation. At a lapse of memory. When I was the chief of voluntary service at the VA, we placed volunteers or committed people from that section in Bexar County. So I worked with, I don't know if I worked with the people that were here today, but we placed people from there. And for the most part, it worked out well.
Thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
I just want to say I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. And last weekend, I think it was, where they had the neighborhood revitalization, I was able to take part in it. It was real enjoyable to be able to do something for somebody else who wasn't able to do for themselves. So thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Councilor Aug6.
If you haven't seen it yet, we haven't had the grand opening, but there's a new ice cream type place where the fish place used to be at Seneca, right up the corner of Seneca and Bandera, and they've got a lot of things there worth trying. And then toward the end of last week, we got the new Lion's Roar, and I wanted to commend the people. It's the best I've ever seen, professionally done, well written. Everything was upbeat, informative. It was just a thrill to read it. And I thank you. I understand maybe Lisa Martin is the newbie on the block and her team of people. But anyway, it was outstanding. Take the time to read it. You'll see a difference, even beautiful pictures. So thank you to the staff.
Thank you. Councilor Martinez.
Thank everybody for being here, and our future leaders of America. Hey, you're our future. Don't ever forget that. I'm sorry for being late today. It's very, in the 5 years I've been on council, it's very, very unusual that I'm ever late. But I was working up in Austin. I left at 3:30, and it took me almost about 3 hours to drive from Austin today. The traffic was terrible. That's all I've got for right now. Thank everybody for coming tonight.
Very good. Councilor Bradshaw.
Yeah, I just got back from vacation late last night, so it's good to be back. And I would like to echo Councilor Martinez's words. Thank you, Scouts. I myself was an Eagle Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout, and so it's something that's a good program to be in. Thank you for coming.
Very good. Thank you. Well, Ms. Alcacer, I wanted to also say about the newsletter. I thought it was excellent, plus all those colorful pictures. But I did want to add that I had written a little article on the 312 hearing process. It was not able to get in there because of a lot of different issues, but we finally got it finalized, and I would like it to be published. I don't know if we can publish it on, where's Maribel?
Mayor,
E-News,
we can put it
or,
in the,
you know what I'm saying? I'd like
oh,
to,
I was saying
because
we can
it's
put it
timely.
in the next Lions Roar,
Well, I
because it'll be
would like it
updated.
to be timely because people are asking me, they don't understand what's going on, and I think it's a short, sweet, factual synopsis that was approved by Ryan Henry. So I would like to work with the staff on publishing it on E-News, or I don't. Maribel said that there was someplace online that we could put something. So okay, but I'll work with you on it, and I just need to update a little. I think just the attorney fees. That's the only thing I need to update. So okay, great. But I did thought it was an excellent article, news whole newspaper. I wanted to thank all the people that came to the coffee with the mayor. It was here, and I thought, oh, nobody's going to show up because it was a, different weekend and it was a different place. But I don't know, y'all. It was wonderful. It was like maybe 65 or 70 people, and we heard a lot of code issues. That was I would say, the centerpiece of the concerns. We also had a Peachtree lot discussion. It's never happened in all of our clicking of the clickers. It was a tie between this plan or this plan. So I don't know what we're going to do, but it was just a very civil, positive meeting, and I wanted to thank everybody that came. National Night Out. I believe, Ms. Kinsler, is Tuesday, October the 1st, which conflicts with our council meeting, and I was wondering if we would move our council meeting to that Monday, September 30th, and keep to the National Night Out. Chief, is National Night Out, it's usually the first Tuesday, so I just wanted to, so I was going through the calendar, I wanted to bring that to our attention. We talked about FEMA, and we also, just one other thing that the manager had in her report, but I think the legislature either established a Texas Development Water Board, is that TWDB, and so it's going to enable our city, all of the cities in the state, to apply for grants if it's passed in November. It's got to go, it's a ballot initiative where they take money from the rainy day fund to fund flood and flood infrastructure throughout the state. So that's a real positive, and I know, Melinda, you've been working on it. We have a lot of needs, and so hopefully if the citizens will pass that in November, that we'll be able to tap into it in the future to correct some of we have a lot of flooding issues. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and thank the legislature. I think they did a really good job on that. Okay, so with that said, we'll move then to the consent agenda. Yes, I'm sorry.
I was actually trying to look up the date for you for National Night Out in Texas, and I did the national one. But I was just going to ask how you and the council felt, Mayor, about moving item number 8.3. Dr. Earl and his beautiful wife are here, and 8.5 up on the agenda. Mr. Rubio is here, so that our business people can get their cases heard and move on. I didn't know if that was possible or not, or how the council felt about it, but I would
It's
appreciate
fine with me, but now we
consideration.
have some budget stuff that we need to do all together. Is that what I'm understanding, Vicki?
I was wondering if we could do it before the budget things. I
For
didn't
the
know if that
budget
was
stuff.
possible or not.
Okay, so then that would be,
It would be a first reading for both of
be
them.
the first read.
Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, the third business owner. I'm sorry. Okay, my apologies. I didn't see the
So,
third business. Okay.
With the.
Oh,
with
there
the-
you are.
With
Hi.
the budget, with the budget items that we need to take in order, then where would we put these three items?
I was wondering if we could put them at the beginning, after the consent agenda,
Oh, after the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Before the second reads. Okay.
if that's possible, and if the
Okay.
council sees it as appropriate.
Any objections to moving 8.3, 8.4, and 8.5 right after the consent agenda? Okay, seeing no objection, then we'll go ahead and move it up so y'all can get back to your, thank you. Really appreciate that consideration.
Thank you for your consideration.
Mayor, may I get clarification? October 1st is National Night Out. You wanted to move, was there a consensus to move the
September
council meeting
30th.
to the 30th, which
Well,
is
that's
Monday?
what we've been doing year after year after year, and I just realized that it's upon us. And I think in the Lion's Roar, I had reached out to the citizens to say, if you want a National Night Out party, which is really a great way to bring your neighbors together and meet your council and your chief of police and fire and everyone else that comes by. But I think I said it was October 1st.
It is October 1st.
We just verified it. It is
Anyway, I believe I
October
said it
1st.
was October 1st. So that conflicts with our city council meeting. What we've done in the past, we've moved the council meeting to the night before that Monday night. So I was wondering if there was a consensus to go ahead and keep that schedule. If that's all right
I
with
don't have
y'all.
a problem with it.
Okay,
6
very
p.m.
good.
or 5:30?
I'm sorry?
6 p.m. or 5:30?
Well, I would just say 6 p.m., as we normally
just
do.
wanna-
On September 30th.
be
It would be
Monday.
our regular council meeting, then we'd have National Night Out on that Tuesday, October 1st. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so then let's move to the consent agenda. Is there anyone on the dais that would like to remove consent agenda item 1, 2, or 3 for discussion?
Mayor, I move that we approve it as
Okay.
presented.
Very good.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Aug6 and a second by Councilor Charles to approve the consent agenda items 6.1, 2, and 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. As per the consensus of the council and the suggestion of our city manager, we will now move to regular agenda 8.3, and I will ask Ms. Posley to please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a specific use permit for kennel at 6703 Post Road, more specifically described as Lot 76, Block 3, Leon Valley Addition, Greenway Park Subdivision, providing for repeal or severability and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I'll make my presentation brief. I've already promised Vicki and Ashley and Melinda that I would, since my items are in front of theirs now. So this is the first of 3 specific use permit requests. All 3 of these requests are pretty straightforward. Zoning Commission recommended approval on all 3 of them. This first request is by Dr. Daniel Earl and his wife, Mrs. Lee Earl. They are the owners of Affordable Pet Care. They're currently located in the city of San Antonio at 5443 Grissom Road. And they recently purchased the vacant lot, the undeveloped lot at the corner of Post Road and Grissom Road. You're probably familiar with that. That's right across the street from Miracle Paint and Body, which will have another specific use permit request here shortly. And so they've been working with staff over the past several months to work through design and development issues. And in that process, they shared what they're planning to do on their property. They're planning to develop that property for a veterinary clinic, and they're planning to move all their operations to the city of Leon Valley. And so one of the services that they plan to offer, in addition to veterinary services and potentially keeping animals overnight that are receiving care, they also want to offer to their customers the ability to drop off their pets if their customers are going out of town. So they want to offer kenneling and boarding services for animals that aren't currently receiving care. And so in our zoning code, that requires an SUP. So they're making sure to get everything lined up. So when they build their building and they want to start operating, everything's in place for operating everything that they want to. And so just a little highlight on the property. The property is currently zoned B3, but it is in the Sustainability Overlay District, so that's why there's some additional land use and design regulations for the property. Here's a location, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. It's a large lot. It's about 2 acres, so they've got plenty of room there to build and to grow. This request, it's a pretty straightforward request. Staff, of course, we look at compliance with the comprehensive master plan. We look at compliance and compatibility with existing uses and surrounding uses when we look at requests like this. The comprehensive plan indicates the area is commercial. And staff, generally finds that a kennel is consistent with the comprehensive master plan. The City Council has approved specific use permits for a kennel on property just to the east, and also recently approved the request for the Bow Wow dog care facility, which is also kenneling. So we also have precedent set for similar SUPs in the area. And so, like I said, staff finds the request is generally compatible with the requirements we look at. The only thing to look at on this is noise. We do have a noise ordinance in place. And so consistent to the last SUP that Zoning Commission and Council reviewed and that Council ultimately approved, staff and the Zoning Commission, they're recommending that no enclosed kennels be located outside of the facility. There's a site plan included in your packet. And so the recommendation there to make sure that all the enclosed kennels are located inside the building. Of course, they'll go outside and, for walking and going to the bathroom. But all the animals the cages will be housed inside. And also, putting the condition on there that use for kenneling is only permitted as a secondary use. It can't be a primary use, but it's permitted as a secondary use as long as there's a veterinary clinic there, and that the use of the property and kenneling of animals be consistent with the site plan that's included in your packet. So with that, Zoning Commission recommended approval of this, and staff and the Zoning Commission recommend approval subject to these conditions. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Milan this evening on this SUP request? Yes, Councilor Bradshaw.
I think you answered it, but just to be clear, they're moving their business from San Antonio to Leon Valley, not expanding the business. Is that
That's correct. They're in a strip center currently in San Antonio, I think, and they want to build a standalone, state-of-the-art facility here in Leon Valley.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And just so council knows, Dr. and Mrs. Earl are here in the audience.
Sorry.
Yes, and I'd love to hear from you too, Doctor. Yes,
So
Councilor Jarl.
what size was the property again?
It's about 2 acres, right? Yeah, 1.9, yeah.
So how many kenneling possibilities do you see?
I'm going to let them go ahead and answer that
Okay,
question.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Earl, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for having me. To answer your question, I have no intention of making boarding a large part of my business. I am passionate about the practice of veterinary medicine. It's just a service that our clients expect to have. I don't do any boarding right now in our current facility because I can't. To answer your question specifically, there's going to be only 6 luxury runs to board dogs. There will be a separate cat boarding area that's relatively small. The cage space in there's approximately 12 cats can be boarded there, and then we have a total of 14 other runs that will mostly be used for hospitalized patients, but could be used for boarding as well. And a variety of cages that, if we didn't have hospitalized patients, could be used for boarding.
Yeah. Thank you. That state-of-the-art caught my attention. I bet it's going to be a nice facility.
It's very expensive, and
Yeah.
this is as good as veterinary care can get.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd also like to just commend Dr. Earl and his wife, because every step along the way, there's been lots of communication, just like with this SUP. The boarding is not their primary, it's not primarily what they're going to do, but they're making certain that they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's so that they have a legitimate, well-run business, and they've done a great job. And especially, it's hard to deal with the sustainability overlay district. We've had trouble repeatedly with that, and they've hung in there, and they've stuck with it, and they've done a great job. And so, thank you very much.
Thank your staff and Brandon for helping us too.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure working with you all.
And how many years have you been in business?
This is my 30th year to be
Wow,
practicing.
very good.
The practice itself was established before I got there in 1985.
Okay, excellent. So you bought an existing practice?
I did.
Okay, very good.
I did. I
All right.
practiced before there were referral hospitals. I was at the only referral hospital here in San Antonio for a number of years. Practiced in, you get out of school, you move around a little bit. I practiced in Sealy for a while, did mixed animal work, and then moved back to San Antonio and did really high-end medicine and surgery on a referral basis back before we had specialty hospitals, which now we have 4 of them here. And so I purchased this hospital in 1990.
Okay, well, very good.
I'm sorry, 2000.
2000, okay. So you're going to let all your existing customers know you're moving, so they'll
yes, ma'am.
follow you here
This
to
is the
Leon
largest-
Valley.
This
There
is the
you
largest
go.
of 3 hospitals that we own, actually.
Oh, is that
The other
right?
2 are in
Okay,
San
did not know
Antonio.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Yes, Counselor.
Yeah, well, yes, I appreciate you, because you're not coming very far, barely a
Right
mile.
down the road.
But, and I was at the zoning commission when you presented, and I really appreciated the time you took to answer the questions and deal with everything that was done. And all throughout, you remained so calm. It was very nice to see, appreciate your being here. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the counselors? All right. We do have a public hearing on this SUP, so let's open it now at about 7:16. And this gives our citizens an opportunity to ask any question on this facility, potential facility that'll be going at Paws and Grissom. Are there any questions that you'd like to address or comments on the public hearing? See, you answered them all. Okay. All right. Seeing no one, then I'll just close the public hearing at 7:16. And Dr. Earl, we can't take any action this evening because we are a home rules chartered city, and so we'll take it at the next meeting. We need 2 reads. So usually I'll say, and we'll stand in line for a motion, but we can't do that yet. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. All right. Moving then to regular agenda 8.4. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
Sorry, wrong sheet. An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a specific use permit for entertainment indoor use at 5720 Evers Road, more specifically described as Lot 3, Block 1, Valley Park Subdivision. The specific use permit being specifically limited to the tenant suite identified as 6128 Wurzbach Road, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Milan, if you'll continue, please.
Thank you again. This is a specific use permit request for entertainment indoor uses. We've approved and considered several similar SUPs in the past. The property is located in the B2 district, and so the B2 district, if you're wanting to open up sort of indoor amusement or a play area, specific use permit approval is required for a use like this. And so the applicant is Vanessa Donovan. She's the owner of SA Fun Zone, and they're planning to locate in a vacant tenant suite at the Rios Crystal Mall facility, just at the corner of Evers Road and Wurzbach Road. It's about a 5,495 square foot tenant space, and they're planning to have a play area, hockey tables, pool tables, bounce house, and an area for toddlers. Like I said, the property's in the B2 district and the sustainability overlay, so they have to go through this additional permitting process. Here's a site plan of the entire facility. You have Wurzbach and Evers Road. So this is where the Family Dollar recently went in. And they're looking to locate just a little in the interior of the facility. And so, there's several things that staff looks at when you're considering use like this. Again, we have to look at traffic, we have to look at noise, you have to look at parking. Those are some of the primary reasons that we do a specific use permit. Specific use permitting process acknowledges that from a high-level land use perspective, this isn't a land use that is strictly prohibited. However, there may be some additional issues that we need to look at and fine-tune through the zoning process. So that's why we do specific use permits on some types of land use. And so staff looked at those things, looked at traffic impact. We have an existing shopping facility that was designed for multiple tenants, high traffic impact. This shopping facility has numerous parking spaces, so staff does not have any concerns from a traffic impact or a parking perspective. Again, staff finds that this use is generally consistent with our comprehensive plan, and that a indoor entertainment facility is generally compatible with the B2 retail zoning district. This is a compatible use with retail uses. So the Zoning Commission considered this request at their last meeting, and they recommended approval of this request to the council. So with that, staff recommends approval, Zoning Commission recommended approval, and Zoning Commission recommended approval with the condition that the specific use permit be limited to that 5,495 square foot space illustrated on the site plan. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions from the counselors on this particular SUP?
Just to note, Miss Vanessa Donovan, the owner, is right back here.
Hi, Ms. Donovan. Would you like to come up and say a few words about your facility, or if I put you on the spot, that's okay. I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I had one question for Mr. Milan. How different is this going to be from the place that opened near Evers and 410?
I think it'll be similar. I think that from what we've seen, there's a lot of demand for this type of use. We've been seeing a lot of interest in that throughout the city, and so I don't think it's going to be generally different. It offers the same service for birthday parties, special events. Generally oriented for kids and toddlers and like so.
So were they going to take just do they have provision for very young, or were they going to have it more toddler and up, or do you know?
I think it's mostly geared, they have hockey tables, pool tables, and things like that. So I think it's going to be geared mostly, towards older kids, but they do have a toddler area. Definitely defer to the applicant for that.
Okay, very good. That's great. There you go.
It's going to target different ages, so it will have a toddler area. It's going to have 550-inch TVs where they can game, so they'll have a private room to game. It'll have bouncies, arcades. For the older ones, it has the pool tables, the hockey tables. I'm sure even dads will probably be playing out there. So, and it will host 4 parties at a time. So I kind of see it kind of like a Peter Piper, but it's just private. Something like that.
Okay, very good. And no, that's okay. You can still we won't bite, I promise. Okay, very good. I was just wondering how you were going to market your new facility.
Okay, so the way I plan on marketing is that we'll definitely get our website going, and I think we will use Facebook. My cousin also owns the dojo right next to where I'll be opening up, and they have a lot of kids. So
Okay, good.
we'll also be marketing that way.
Okay. Well, good luck. I had to take my car for service on Saturday, and I walked right by that. We have another smaller. I don't think it's 5,400 square feet, but a smaller play. And I walked by there because I was curious how they were doing, and they were doing well. So, anyway, so good luck.
Thank you.
Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. We do have a public hearing on this SUP as well. So it's now 7:25. And I will open up the public hearing for any comment from our residents or visitors this evening on this particular SUP request. We have a lot of quiet people tonight. Okay. Well, then I will close the public hearing, and we will, again, Ms. Donovan, take this up at the next City Council meeting for final approval. Thank you very much for being here. We do appreciate it. Moving then to agenda item number 8.5. Ms. Bosley, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a specific use permit for outside storage at 6217 Grissom Road and 6645 Poss Road and 6655 Poss Road, more specifically described as lots 63, 64, and 65, Block 3, Leon Valley Addition Greenway Park Subdivision, providing repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Milan, if
Thank you again, Mayor and Council.
Continue.
It's our last specific use permit request for the evening. This is a request by Mr. Manuel Rubio, owner of Miracle Body and Paint, for approval of a specific use permit for outside storage. I'm going to go ahead and just start off with a little bit of history on the project. Mr. Rubio has, and I'll go ahead and jump to my map here. Mr. Rubio originally opened up Miracle Body and Paint on lot 6, what's labeled as lot 64 here, at the corner of Poss Road and Grissom Road. He originally opened up his facility in 2009, and at that point in time, the property was was in the B3 district, the B3 commercial zoning district, which it still is today, and that was the only zoning that applied to the property at that time. And so at that point in time, auto body paint and repair was allowed within that zoning district. And then shortly after Mr. Rubio opened up his facilities, the city adopted and applied the Sustainability Overlay District. And so as we know, the Sustainability Overlay District has additional standards for design, development, and also has additional standards for different kinds of land uses. And so when the Sustainability Overlay District was applied, that took away the ability to operate auto body and repair services. And so that didn't mean that he couldn't keep operating. That just meant that he couldn't expand. He could keep operating as is. And so a few years later, Mr. Rubio purchased Lot 64 here and anticipated purchasing the lot across the street. And so at that point in time, he requested to be removed from the Sustainability Overlay District and to be placed in the Commercial Industrial Overlay District, which when combined with a B3 zoning, would allow for an auto body and a repair facility. And so that request was considered by the Zoning Commission and was considered by Council and was approved. And so what that did is that allowed him to expand his operations to his current annex facility. And that zone change also applied to Lot 65 here, which he didn't own at that point in time. And so Mr. Rubio recently purchased Lot 65, and he's been coordinating with us for a few months now submitted building plans, and so staff has reviewed those plans. And in that process, one of the things that we noticed on there was that he was proposing a 6-foot tall wall. And so, we looked at that, talked to him about it. What are you needing the wall for? And so he is proposing the wall to be consistent with the wall that he has on the other properties, in effort to properly screen vehicles that are parked outside that are currently receiving services. And so in looking at that, and staff going back and looking at the zoning history, one of the things we noticed on there is that in looking at the requirements of the zoning code, in the B3 zoning district and in the Commercial Industrial Overlay District, there's a caveat in there that says you can only store retail merchandise outside, but you can't store non-retail merchandise outside. So anything that's stored outside, including vehicles, you have to have a specific use permit in order to be able to do that. And so in coordinating with him, we can see, okay, he's been doing that here, and staff is previously, planning department has previously permitted the construction of walls for him to do that on his property. He's been storing vehicles outside since he started. And that's something that my department has been aware of since he started. And so that's an existing operation, existing use that he's doing there. However, in order for me and my department to go and number one, authorize the continuation of that type of use of the land, and also to authorize the construction of a wall, we need to go through the process to kind of approve the zoning, approve the SUP to make this use of the land right, to make it actually allowed. So he can potentially expand onto this lot, operate the auto body repair facility with outside storage of vehicles currently receiving services, and potentially expand into the future. So that's working with him, communicating with him. He absolutely wanted to go through that process and initiate the SUP process. So. And considering a request like this, there's several different things that staff definitely wants to look at and make sure that we discuss with the Zoning Commission. We talked about this thoroughly at Zoning Commission. Definitely, I think the main things to be considered in looking at this, the property, this area is, let me see if like I said, this area is within the Commercial Industrial Overlay, the Leon Valley Storage area across the street. They're within the Commercial Industrial Overlay, and everything else around is within the Sustainability Overlay. And as we've discussed many times, the purpose of the Sustainability Overlay District was to initially facilitate more of a town center, mixed-use redevelopment type of development pattern in this area. And so, definitely, when you're looking at a request like this, which is to do more outside storage of vehicles, definitely look at it and see, well, that may not necessarily be compatible with a town center type of development. But also, when you have a long-term vision to redevelop an area, you also need to be cognizant of the uses that are existing there and the way that they've been operating over time. So make sure that we come up with solutions that are working towards our vision, but also being fair and compatible with what already exists. So that was the main thing that staff was looking at in this, and definitely looking at the history of the zone change. In 2013, the council made the decision to remove this property from the Sustainability Overlay and place it into the Commercial Industrial Overlay. So definitely policy was set at that time for how this property would be used. And definitely outside storage of vehicles is a type of use of land which is generally frequently consistent with auto body and repair uses. And it's also happening right now on all of the lots on either side and also across the street. So what's being requested is currently operating all around the property. And also, definitely the other main consideration is this is the way he's been operating his property for years. So, looking at something like this, staff, I definitely wouldn't recommend expanding this type of use or, constructing any new facilities anywhere else within this area, or necessarily expanding the commercial industrial overlay district in this area. Definitely wouldn't recommend that. But in this particular case, I think considering policy was set on this property, the way it's been used, my recommendation is I think it's the right thing to do to approve the SUP and allow him to expand onto this lot in the center, which he recently purchased. So with that, Zoning Commission considered this request at their last Zoning Commission meeting, and they did recommend approval, subject to a few conditions. Jump to the end here. There's some pictures of his current area and the way they're developed. This is the facility that he's planning to develop here. It's currently the Pronto Plumbing. So with that, Zoning Commission recommended approval with 3 conditions. One, that outside storage on lots 63, 64, and 65 only be limited to vehicles, because outside storage can mean a lot of things. It can mean storage of chemicals, storage of equipment, storage of car parts, lots of things. So staff recommends that outside storage only be limited to vehicles currently receiving service and no equipment, chemicals, or similar types of materials. Outside storage also be only permitted in areas screened by a minimum of a 6-foot vision-proof wall constructed of masonry, which is already what he's proposing, and that's consistent with what he already has. That all vision-proof walls constructed after the date of the approval of the SUP be further screened by ornamental trees spaced no more than 15 feet apart. And that's actually a requirement of the Sustainability Overlay District. So not only would the screening and placing of trees, that would be something that would be consistent and kind of pursuant to the intent of the Sustainability Overlay, which is right across the street. So with that, that was the Zoning Commission's recommendations. And with that, happy to take any questions. Okay. And Mr. Rubio is here as well to speak.
Right.
I should have introduced him.
Okay. Oh, I think we all know Mr. Rubio. How are you, Mr. Rubio? So glad you're here. So the lots are 63, 64, 65, not 2 64s. Is that correct? I just saw that up there. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
63,
Okay.
64, and 65.
Just wanted to.
Thank you.
Wanted to
Thanks for pointing
clarify
that out.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Rubio, good evening and welcome. Come on up to the podium. Is that your facility across from the top lot 64 across the street? That's yours too, right?
Yes.
That's what I remembered.
Yes, it is.
That's like your headquarters.
Across the street,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Yeah.
we have auto rentals and auto glass there.
Okay, auto rentals and auto glass. I knew that we had approved something there.
Headquarters is in lot 64, actually it's 63, it's the one towards the rear.
One's
That's the
for-
corporate office.
That's the corporate
Yes.
office. Okay, all right, very good. And did you say you had some other property out 1604? Or are you
Yes,
going to
yes.
consolidate everything here? Is that what you're doing?
Well,
Or I'm just
you know,
curious.
there's a chance that we may open another.
A second
another-
facility.
A second
Okay.
facility.
Gotcha.
In a few years, but that's not certain.
Right.
But we
Okay.
do have some property earmarked for it, but it's not certain.
Okay. Well, I know you advertise a lot on TV, and you're a big Spurs fan. And
Yes.
do you say Leon Valley in your commercials? Do you say Leon Valley in your commercials? Come to Leon Valley.
Oh, well, I'll be glad to plug that. Yes.
Well, I'm just
I'll be glad to plug
want us
in
to,
Leon Valley.
to get our due service here. Okay, very good. All right, and we talked about your son. Also, you're grooming him to come up.
Yeah,
into the,
I'm
so
working on it.
Congratulations. So, all righty. Well, very good.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here, and you have a booming business.
Okay.
And we thank you for that. Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Charles.
Mr. Rubio, the property across POS, is that a 6-foot fence around that property?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
because I
it
like
is.
that, because you can't even tell how many cars are in there.
Yes.
They're well hidden.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a the masonry
Right,
and
yeah, it looks nice.
decors the property a little bit more. Yes. And that's the same fence
Mhm.
wall that we'll be building on that property 65.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Rubio? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
Mr. Rubio, for those who don't know, was on the ED board way back when, and he got too busy, so he dropped off. But when you were doing the lot across the street, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lot of discussion. There wasn't supposed to be storage of any vehicles being repaired.
Yeah, it's work in progress, work in process is what it is. Yeah, it's not parking, it's work in process.
And what's your understanding of work in process?
Well, there are vehicles that come in for repairs. Because
I thought it was only supposed to be for staff and then a small number of the rental cars. Because there was a big issue about parking because people didn't want them visible.
In the front part, it was for rental cars and for staff.
So with this new lot, you won't need it, because all the ones will be in process will be on the new lot?
No, we're still using that rear lot. We're still using it for cars coming in that are damaged. The lot that we're developing there, it's a small piece. It's probably going to store 20 vehicles or so, and then about a 2,000 square foot building. So
Or you'll be working on them too?
we'll be polishing some cars. Yeah, it's an office and then 3 bays, so 3 cars, 1 car in each bay, and we're moving them over. We're moving that department from the original site, lot 64. There's 2 bays there where we polish cars before we wash them, and so we're moving them over to the new property. And they'll be that service will be closer to lot 63 where we have the wash bays. So we polish them first and then wash them. But we're currently driving about 120 yards, and those 2 departments are better off next to each other. So if something's not polished correctly, they can continue to finish that product, that service.
So will you be able to get those cars off of Pass Road that are constantly parked on Pass Road?
We're going to be able to remove many of them. Yes, we are.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment about that. It's been reduced tremendously already, because I drive Pass Road and most of those cars are gone already. So.
Yes, yeah, and we'll be able to reduce it further.
Yeah, because there's a lot in the picture there.
Yeah, we'll be able to reduce it further.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Martinez.
I've got one more for Brandon. If I understand, you said years ago that his property was removed from the sustainability overlay?
Yes.
Okay, but then you mentioned that with his new fence, that you're requiring him to plant trees per the sustainability overlay.
Yeah, my recommendation is that even though it's not required by the commercial industrial, my recommendation is that you do plant trees to screen the fence because of the compatibility and the adjacency to the sustainability district directly across the street. My recommendation is that you require that additional screening to screen the fence. That way it provides a little bit more buffering, a little bit more screening for the more mixed use, more redevelopment, less intense commercial uses that are potentially and hopefully going to be developed across the street at a later time.
And
that would be
he's
additional
agreed to
screening
do
for
it.
the vet clinic.
Agreed to do that.
just
Yeah,
came
he
in
doesn't
earlier.
have to, but he's agreed to it. Yeah.
Okay. I
Very
just
good.
want to make that clear that, if it was removed from the sustainability, then you mentioned, hey, I want him to do it per the sustainability, but if he wants to do it to be a nice neighbor for the city, fantastic.
Well, the zoning commission, that was their recommendation, was that the trees be
It's an
installed.
SUP. That's part of the SUP
Okay.
agreement.
Very good.
That's fine.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes, thank you for coming. I'm just wondering, did you own the lot 65 before, or you recently purchased lot 65? Is that the middle one?
Lot 65, I purchased 0.6. It was originally 1.5 acres.
Okay.
And I purchased 0.6 of it, which was the backyard and part of the side yard, about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And then went through this process and got that approved to expand lot 64, and to be able to reach lot 63. And the gentleman kept 0.9 acres there, and he thought he might be willing to resign his business. He just wasn't sure at what point, and we weren't sure when that day would come, and it came suddenly in December.
Okay.
Just suddenly they decided it was time to move off to another part of town, and so we were able to purchase it, the 0.9 part.
Just a little part of it. Or,
Yeah, just a section of it. Yeah, because we were already using
most of it.
0.6 of it. Yes, for
Okay,
several
but-
years now.
Yeah, so it looks like business is good. You've got quite a bit of land and quite a bit of storage and vehicles there.
Yeah, we're blessed.
But yeah, I just looked you up on Google. You got over 1,000 reviews, 4.5 stars. So you're doing something right. So
Thank you.
He pushes for that on TV.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully I never have to use it, but knock on wood. But if I
We'll
do,
be glad to help if you ever need our services. And I want to thank you all for the meeting tonight and for everything you all do. And it's a joy to see the community work together and for you leaders to guide the community and worry about our safety and worry about promoting, all the goodness that Leon Valley has to share. So I congratulate all of you all. Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Rubio. We appreciate your efforts.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have a public hearing. So let me open up the public hearing at approximately 7:42 and to see if we have any comments from our participants in the chambers this evening. Any comments on Mr. Rubio's SUP? We'd love to hear from you. Okay, we have a quiet crowd this evening. Okay, so we'll close it at 7:42. And again, the next meeting, Mr. Rubio, we will consider action and approval.
Thank you all. Have a
You
good
bet.
evening.
Thank you very much. Don't forget Leon Valley in your commercials now.
Okay.
I'm telling you, he's on TV a lot. Okay, thank you. You bet. Good night.
Bye.
All right, then moving back, because we had taken these out of order as per the consensus of the council, we go back to agenda item 7, ordinance. And these are our second reads, and we will need to vote on agenda 7.1 and 7.2. And Ms. Postley, if you'll please read 7.1, ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council, amending the Leon Valley Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, Fee Schedule, Article A, 8.002, Building Permits, to modify permit fees for residential building permits, providing repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Ms. Postley. Mr. Milan, do you have an update for us this evening?
I just have a minor update. At the last council meeting, Councilor Bradshaw had asked about how other communities were handling this issue of having to go back and amend our fee schedules to not base residential permit fees on the valuation of the project. So went back, reached out to several communities, learned some interesting things, and was actually able to kind of put together some perspective on how other communities are doing this. So we looked at Balcones Heights right next door, and as you move from left to right, just imagine moving from west to east. And so we looked at Balcones Heights, Hollywood Park, Almas Park, Alma Heights, Terrell Hills, Universal City, Selma, Schertz, Cibolo, and San Marcos. And so the four main type of fee structures that they use that we found was either a flat fee, where they basically take whatever the project type is, whether it's a water heater or whether it's a new house. They just have a flat fee based on those. And they looked at all the costs. Universal City just did that, and they spent a lot of time working on that. And so they're the only one that's doing a flat fee. And then there's a base fee. A lot of cities have a base fee with a supplemental fee. And the supplemental fee either happen two ways. It's just a simple fee that is on all projects, whether it's a little addition, a little deck, or a whole house. They do a supplemental fee and it's set. It's like 50 cents a square foot or 70 cents a square foot. And there are a few cities, ironically, all the ones kind of located more centrally, they have more of a graded scale. So it's like 50 cents a square foot if you're between 0 square feet and 750 square feet, and then it goes down a little bit. And typically, all those scales, the price per square foot goes down the bigger the house gets. And so Alma's Park and Alma Heights and Terrell Hills all had that. What's being proposed for this minor fix, what staff proposed at the last council meeting was applying a base fee of $400 for additions and then a base fee of $800 for new construction with a supplemental fee of 50 cents per square foot. We found that Balcones Heights, Hollywood Park, Selma, Schertz, and Cibolo all went, and that's the way they handled their revision. Because everybody up here, except for San Marcos, they were already charging by the square foot. But all these other cities, they were charging by the valuation too, just like we were, and so they had to go in and make these changes. So you do the math on this. You know, we're not the cheapest up here, frankly, but we're also definitely not the most expensive. You do the math on Alma's Park, Alma Heights, and Terrell Hills. I did the math just quickly on the new build. We had a new house built. We don't get a lot of new houses, but we had one built over in Monte Robles. So did the math on that. You know, you apply those numbers, that would have been a lot more expensive permit. You know, Balcones Heights, Hollywood Park, they're all less on their base fee. But they were generally, except for Balcones and Hollywood Park, Selma and Schertz and Cibolo were right around the 50 cents or a little bit more, and so was San Marcos. They were around that. So, like I mentioned, you know, staff is planning to go through a similar process that sorry, I just hit you with the thing there. Staff is planning to go through a similar process as Universal City over the next few months to really just look at all of our fees, platting, zoning, zone changes, SUPs, all of our permits. That's something we do. We should be doing regularly. It was done most recently about 2015, and so we need to be doing that every year and make sure we're not overcharging people. That's critical. We shouldn't be making money, but also make sure we're not undercharging. We need to not be losing money. So we're going to do that for everything, but for right now, you know, staff is presenting and felt like it was important to make sure that we at least come up with a system that gets the same revenue that we were, and staff's confident that the proposal in your packet will maintain current revenues, and we'll be tracking it. If we get a couple of permits in and it happens to be more, we'll come back out and make another quick fix. So there's some perspective on other cities, and our original proposal stays the same, and happy to take any questions.
Yeah, when I see it like this, all laid out, we are higher on the base fee, much higher than the other cities. But you said you've already calculated it to bring in the same revenue, and that if we find that it's more,
yes, ma'am,
then we'll readjust it. So I guess we have to just kind of, you know, start the process and see how it plays out. So
we did the base fee. You know, those are actually what our base fees are right now. Generally, we have the graded scale for permits right now. The scale is, you know, for if the project is, you know, zero to $25,000 or something like that, there's a base fee and then a dollar amount per, you know, a certain amount per additional $1,000, you know, and so we kept the same base fees. We just did a different multiplier. We did a multiplier for square footage rather than a multiplier for valuation. Okay. So those are the current base fees. Just generally, we don't, like I said, we don't get a lot of residential permits, so we looked at a recent addition, and we looked at a recent new build, and so those are.
So the base fees in the other cities are for all construction, additions, and new construction, right? They don't delineate like we do.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I just figured that.
Yeah,
okay.
They had a consistent base fee.
All right. Very good. Any other questions on? Thank you for the effort in
Yes,
going to. I like comparisons. I really do. Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw.
Yeah,
yes.
I appreciate this, Brandon. It looks really good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
So I move that we
I keep thinking I have to have a public hearing. I'm telling you, no public hearing. Okay, we do have a motion though.
move
Thank
that
you.
we approve 7.1 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilor Aug6 and a second by Councilor Rodriguez to approve ordinance 7.1 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving to 7.2, Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and awarding a contract in an amount not to exceed $261,498 with 15% for contingency to Clearfield Construction for purpose of constructing the Forest Meadow Drainage Project, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract, authorizing amendment of the enterprise fund budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 in the amount of $170,723 to provide proper funding, providing a repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Welcome, Melinda.
Evening, Mayor,
Yes.
City Council.
Do you have any updates from your last presentation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can I just ask you, and you might have answered it, but did you say the timeline for this?
It depends on when we can get it. If we get it approved
Right.
tonight, we'll be sitting down with the contractor tomorrow to get his, find out when his notice to proceed will be issued.
Okay. And then did we also discuss if the park was going to have to be closed at that end?
Yes, and what we said was, yes, it is going
Okay.
to have to be closed, but we
Okay.
will make provisions for the gardeners.
For the gardeners, okay, because I'm starting to talk to people. I'm there, 4 times a week because of the garden.
Luckily
and
for us, the growing season's over for the summer, and so
you can plant tomatoes right now. I'm telling you, we got to get them in this weekend. I'm serious. But anyway, I've been talking to people about that we're going to have this rain garden. They're going, what? And then a walking trail around it. People are very excited. So I think it's a good move.
We just recently added an item to the website. If you look under Public Works and then under Capital Projects, it gives you an interactive mapping site.
Oh, good.
And it gives you the locations of all of our projects on there, and it tells you what that project is, how long it's going to take, how much it costs.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Nothing like communication. All right. Any other questions from the counselors or any members of our in our chambers this evening? All right.
I make a motion, we approve.
7.2,
Yes.
okay, second.
We have a motion by Counselor Charles and a second by Counselor Alcacer to approve 7.2 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much,
Thank
Melinda. Do appreciate that. Moving then to agenda item number 7.3, conduct a public hearing on fiscal year 2020 budgets and associated capital acquisition plans. And we have Ms. Kinsler and Ms. Wallace and Ms. Wayman here this evening to present.
Oh, no, budget.
I'm going to see if we want to do a PowerPoint. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is kind of different because, of course, it's a second read, so I'll go through it fast if you want me to. I don't have to go through it. It's your choice.
Well, we've got some citizens here. I don't know if you
Go through it again?
Did anybody not see the first presentation? Would you like to see the presentation?
They're not even paying attention. So I don't think so.
Let me say one more time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to see this presentation? This is the second read, and Ms. Kinsler has offered to go through it really fast. No? Okay. All right. So, yes, Counselor
I do have
Martinez.
one question. In our agenda, it's labeled, the first one's labeled 7.3, but if you look at the agenda in our packet, it's labeled 7.4-2 and 7.4A and then 7.5. And it's mislabeled in the what was downloaded from our printed agenda.
I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, and I don't know where the city secretary is. Here she comes.
To the restroom.
Poor thing.
On the printed agenda, it's 7, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
Talking about the numbering of the budget items.
That's the same way it is on our what we received too, 7, 3, 4, 5.
I don't have a 7.3 in my packet. It goes from 7.2 to 7.4.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Mr. Martinez, yeah, I don't have it in my packet.
Yeah, I go to
Yeah, but I mean in my packet. Yeah, in the
Excella
packet.
and download the whole agenda package, and it's labeled 7.4-2 and then 7-4A and 7.5-3. The numbering is weird.
I printed the agendas off of the website. There is a 7.3. I can't look at it right now because I'm in it recording, so I don't have the same view as you do.
Here.
I mean, I have the agenda. This is how it's posted. What is the, is there a question about?
Well, I guess the question is the substance is the same,
This way.
even if the numbering's off?
downloaded it from
I mean,
It's right here.
right?
It's just a matter of numbering.
Yeah, but I think the
just a matter of numbering.
yes, I say the substance is the same. Yeah.
It's numbered correctly.
It's of no consequence
Mhm.
legally.
It's not. I don't know if it's very-
I do it from the website, and it's all what most
I don't
people
know
look
what's
at, and it's
Now,
the same number.
if you supposedly go to Acela and download it, you get all the information that's hidden from, if it's people applying for something, that their information is there.
I
that it's not-
understand that, but we're not on that issue.
Well, and then also I'm supposed to be conducting a public hearing, so how do I do that if we don't present? So
Well,
I'm just,
I'm sorry, but it is posted. I'm not sure if I'm following.
oh, no, I didn't, no.
It's
I-
posted
it's all
correctly.
a
We can still
numbering.
have it.
Yeah, it
It's
was
a
just,
matter of numbering.
Mine's
Yeah.
numbered correctly, but I guess on the Excel, you're saying that it's not numbered correctly, right?
You want to see it?
No, I believe you. I just,
Mhm.
mine's numbered correctly, but I'm not looking at Excel like you are.
but I'm saying on agenda item 7.3, conduct a public hearing. So how can I conduct a public hearing if we don't present something? That's my question. So,
I
Wanna be-
can't
I wanna-
answer it because I'm doing the minutes as you're doing this. So I've already shuffled items
The right
because we've
procedure,
moved
so
8,
you
1,
know.
3, 1, 2, 3 up. So my agenda or my minutes have already don't reflect what the agenda looked like already because I've rearranged it to fit the minutes. So I can't flip back to the agenda the way it used to look. So I can't answer that right now because it's active.
I want to be
Mayor and
transparent
council,
here.
I believe the statute requires us to have another public hearing on the budget. But it doesn't have to be re-presented. It just, if the public would like to hear the presentation, they can always go back to the first presentation online. But it's not legally required to do a presentation to have a public hearing. It's already been posted. It's already been discussed already.
And the people here said that are present for the public hearing said they don't need to hear it again.
Even if we're not going to go page by page again, I still do have some questions in this budget that if we have a motion tonight, I need for you all to address. So would you like me to proceed with those, Mayor?
Yes,
That'd be helpful?
if those questions can be answered, yeah, that we have,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes,
that'd be
ma'am.
great.
Okay, so one question, and I apologize because I'm probably going to get my counselors confused, but it might have been you, Mayor. One of you wanted to know the breakup of every employee from every department. I have that information right here for whoever wants it,
Yeah,
whoever
I think
wants
I
it.
was asking for, I think I asked you, Vicki, right? I think what it was is like, okay, for instance, we'll take you, Ms. Kinsler, okay, so you're paid 25% from EDC money, CD money, 50% from the enterprise fund, that kind of thing. So, no, is that right?
So if you look at the city manager, it's 45% from
Yeah.
50/20, which is the
Okay.
enterprise,
And if
5200,
you could
the
just
enterprise fund.
shoot that to me in an email, that's fine. And maybe
Okay.
if y'all are, I'm a nerd and I want to know the specifics. So, because
Okay,
I
so we
noticed,
did do that homework.
yeah, I
Vicki
noticed that
got it.
it's a lot more than just you and Vicki and the city attorney. I mean, there's
Lots of them.
There's lots of them. So
And
I'd like
what
to
I
see
want
that.
to say, Mayor, is to
Yes.
simplify it, instead of going through and looking for the city manager in all these different places. The main department that she's in, I listed that person there and then went across at the top, and there's a key that tells you what fund and what 100,
good.
300 means, so you
Very
can look
good.
at it, so it's easy, so you're not going through
Okay.
a word trying to
Thank
see
you.
where
I
that
certainly
person's at.
appreciate that. Yeah, I did ask for that. Yeah,
So I
thank you.
realize this doesn't have anything necessarily to do
No.
with the presentation, but I wanted you to know that we have it. And
Okay,
it was a
great.
question that arose out of the budget, and we wanted to be responsive. Another question that arose, I guess, was from Councilor Martinez, was the breakdown of Barcom. Am I wrong on that?
I think it was me.
That was you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I have,
Uh-huh.
I told you I might offend you
Because
I didn't know who asked what that night.
you have their, I guess, their total contract, and you have it divvied up into certain departments, right?
I have that, and I'll send that out to
Okay.
the council as well. Okay? So just wanted to be responsive on that. The other thing that I failed to mention during the first read is that this budget eliminates a position. And so before we even go forward, I can't remember what council workshop I mentioned it at, but I don't think I mentioned it again. And so I'm concerned. It was at your workshop that
No,
I
I think
mentioned
you
it.
mentioned it, and it's Public Works.
That's correct.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
you mentioned
so-
it at the last time, right?
Okay, so it's the
Don't y'all
library
remember that?
custodian
Yeah.
position, and so the custodians here will do the library. The other thing probably to mention that's important, if you keep going down the slides, Vic, really quick, that's just changed, but I would like you to go to the general fund revenue highlights. I told you last time that the tax rate was going to stay the same. The tax rate actually reduced once we got the numbers in from Bear County. So that's another change that is notable.
Okay, so
The last slide that I presented to you that looked just like that, your tax rate was the same as 2018. This gives us, let's put the .002287 in perspective. It gives you about another $5,000 a year.
okay, is that the effective tax rate? Yes, ma'am. We're adopting the same amount of money that we raised last year for this upcoming
Yes.
budget. That's what that means,
Yes.
right?
And then when we get to the tax, I'll show you the breakup of it.
Okay.
It
all
lowers
right.
your tax rate, though,
Yeah.
by doing
Okay.
that. Okay? So that's something else that's changed. All general fund should be fine. Nothing else has changed. So the other thing in here is historical attorney's costs. Mayor, you've been asking for that for a couple of years now and have been watching that. That's your slide on historical attorney's costs. So I need to know whether or not you want to keep that position or you want to contract that position. That's going to have to be part of the decision. The next page also needs to be part of the decision, and that's how do you want to handle that? Do you want to do one position certified? Do you want to do one position certified plus years of experience for that amount? Or do you want to do what we have now in the pink, which was recommended by the EDCD? That's another question I have that I need answered.
Right.
Let's see, what else may have changed? If you keep going, I think all of your expenditures, Vic, are fine.
Oh,
You've seen all of this.
well, one of the major changes, which we're not going to discuss for a while, but that's medical insurance. Because didn't we say 17%, and it's coming in way lower?
We did,
Yeah,
and it is coming in lower, and
mhm.
Crystal will be bringing
Yeah,
that up.
right.
That's correct. So everything, all the expenditures, let me get through them real quick, nothing has changed.
We still don't know about the grant for the community center from CDBG yet.
Mayor, council, we're supposed to get an answer for that in August sometime, so we should be knowing any day now, but we do have a place reserved.
But we have a
in
place
Bridgeport. Yes, ma'am.
reserved for it. That's what okay, so
We
that would
do.
just be extra money into the general fund if we get that grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So Vicki, I'm on to the enterprise fund. If you go to water expenditures, right there, I made a note just because I wasn't sure if I was clear last time. The reason you have that decrease is because of the project at Blacksmith and Wagon Wheel. That was in last year's budget, and I don't know that I said that last time, so I wanted to make sure that I was clear on that. Sewer expenditures, same thing, that negative 194, that spoke main repair at Blacksmith and Wagon Wheel, that's what that's about. I think I covered everything else. These were just notes that I wrote to myself that I wanted to make sure. Oh, we updated the CPI for you. If you go to that, we included June. And so it is a little bit less actually than it was when I presented it the first time.
And we figured 2%?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you did?
We
So
have
it's
2% in there.
about, yeah, okay.
So that's a little different from the first presentation. And the next one, if you'll go to the slide for me, this is another decision that I need made by you all. It's the longevity structure, please. There you go, right there. So I think this was a Counselor Aug6 or Bradshaw idea. Aug6 maybe, right? That's the structure based on the year that an employee stays. We had originally proposed, we've tried to go up to market. We've tried to get the retirement the same as everybody else. And so longevity pay was fairly low for Leon Valley. And so we were proposing to double it so that we could be, more about in the middle of the suburban cities with the other chart that I gave you. And I actually like the council idea much better than our idea. And that was the longevity structure, which is up there in that purple. So I need a decision on that.
Kelly?
And you had the
Yes.
cost. You had the
Mayor,
cost.
Councilor Martinez.
Yeah.
What is the average years of our employees? Where do they fall in this?
Mayor, Councilor Martinez, I don't have that answer without having Crystal look them up.
Just a ballpark.
By employee. You have some people that stayed a long time.
I know we've had some that are 20 and 30 years.
Mhm.
Huh?
This rewards those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have that many that are that, we used to have a lot of them, but we don't like we used to.
Just recently.
If you look at, be careful.
I'm okay, I'm just gonna get some more water.
If you look at, I'm thinking most places should be, or most employees should be in the 5 to 10 year, either that or close to, or maybe like 8 to 12 year bracket. I was just curious where most of the employees fall.
Yeah, Councilor Martinez, I don't have that idea, neither would Crystal right at the tip of her fingers, but we can get you the real answer and email it to the council.
No, it's nothing big. I was just curious where people stand, or where our workforce is.
Right. Yeah, we can definitely. Would you write that down, Crystal? I got it. Thank you. And then if you look at the next slide, it tells you when you look at the staff proposal, which was $8 a month, it would have cost $50,372. If you look at that tiered component, it'll cost you $53,312. So that's just the comparison. Next page is the same. The next page, which is another decision that I need, is whether or not you want to do the Battle of the Flowers holiday. It's observed the fourth Friday in April. And you asked, I don't know which counselor asked for this, I'm sorry. I'm going to guess who. Oh, Counselor Aug6 asked for this as well. And this was a holiday by city. And so that up there gives you that chart. I know it's a little bit difficult to read, but she blew it up as big as she could without it getting distorted. And so you asked for that information, and it's in there.
So what's the average number of days off first? I can't really. I'm sorry.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11. Looks like 11.
Everybody's pretty much the same except for a couple of days.
12, no, 11, 12. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's what I told you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. So it should be 12. So 12 is the average.
So we're looking at adding, we're at 11, or we're looking at adding one more?
We're at 10 because
We're required to have the 9/11 holiday by legislation for fire departments, and so most cities just have that as a holiday. We do it for holidays called the 9/11 Remembrance Day. We're required by law to have that, so some kids, not all employees, that's not a holiday for everybody. That's just for the fire department. They get paid double that day that they work on the 9/11 Remembrance Day. And so all we're asking is to add battle flowers, which most cities have.
So only the fire department would take off 9/11 still.
Correct, but they don't take off because we have to have service.
Yeah.
They get paid double.
So they get double time, exactly.
So we really only have 10 holidays because you don't have Independence Day off.
No, we don't.
But doesn't everybody take an extra day, though? Y'all don't take an extra day?
You get paid double time, so you don't technically get
Oh.
double time and a day off.
So we try to use mostly FLSA exempt staff so that we don't have to pay them. So we volunteer on that day. But then sometimes also, we come in the next morning, we pick up garbage, and then sometime the next week, some of us will take half a day or a day or something like that off. It just depends on what's going on and whether or not we're able.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Does Balcones have 13 holidays? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 12.
I agree, we should have Battle of Flowers.
Well,
so that's a decision that we need to be.
Well, are we making decisions as we go along, or are we going to?
I'm going to go over the
gonna
decisions
go
with you
back.
right now again. And then the next page, whether or not this is part of the budget, but this is the proposal for the Christmas schedule. So as I see the budget right now, I wanted to make certain that I had been transparent, and it sounds like I had, about the custodial position at the library. So with the budget, the decisions I need made are in-house attorney or contract attorney, which package you want for the economic development, which package you want for the longevity, and whether or not you want the Battle of the Flowers, and whether or not the Christmas holidays proposed are sufficient to this body.
okay. Well, let's take the Christmas holidays. That's the first one.
Okay?
That's good.
That's good with me. It's what we've had for the last, 3, 4 years? Since Mr. Diaz was here. He's the one that changed this.
And Battle of Flowers is good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Board? Okay.
Take it off.
Okay, so there's 2. The longevity, how do you want to handle that? The
This
$8
is-
a month or the tiered
I
structure?
think
This is great.
Tiered structure.
Tiered structure?
Good structure is good.
Okay, so I got that one.
Right.
Okay, so now I know the number there. Economic development one, if you'd put that slide up, you've got your 3.
I would like to see
Voices.
an official economic development
I
person.
also would like a certified,
The 131,864.
I would like the 3 positions because we haven't done the year yet and we're doing extremely well under it. I'd like to see it continue.
But
Okay.
this was only going to be for 1 year,
We haven't
and
done
let's try
the
it.
year.
Let's try it again. Let's try with a person that's all they do. Because, right now I have to admit, Will is doing a good job, but his job description is that long, and with everything he does, and he is doing his portion, the code compliance and stuff, very well from what I understand, but it's a completely different mindset from economic development. It's a completely different mindset, and that's why I'd like to see a person that's all they do is work on community or economic development.
Well, he would have had the opportunity to have that position, but the promise was a year. We're barely through 7 months or something, and we still have other work to do, and he would be allowed to, with all the good stuff he'd done, he would be allowed to have the time to get the certification to qualify for doing the Economic Development Director position if we so chose at a later date. But I think we ought to keep it. It's doing very, very well. We are not having a problem with economic development at this point.
Okay.
Mayor,
Thanks for your
Council,
input.
I do want to just, I want some direction, if you don't mind, beyond a year. because it really is hard to say, let's try this for a year. He's been doing this for 7 or 8 months. And like today at the staff meeting, he just reported 5 businesses that are paying San Antonio taxes that are now going to come to Leon Valley. That's economic development. And so it's sort of hard to guide the staff on what you want for economic development, because he's actually already gone through the first phase of the classes because he wanted to be certified. But then I pulled the reins and said, hold on, I want to see what the council wants to do next budget period, because I don't want to spend any more taxpayer dollars on continuing the certification, so that you can do both. So I would like some consistency for the city and the department on how you want to do this.
Well, if you look on page 11 and 12 and 13 of your report, you get an overview of what Mr. Will has done. Primarily, attending a lot of stuff, and then enforcement, big time enforcement, fire zoning inspections, business audits, stop work orders, none. But the economic development portion is really just a small portion, and then certificates of occupancy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 businesses are listed. And I guess my question there was
in a
any
2-week
sales tax
period.
generating businesses is what I was wondering. It looked like it was more just businesses, which is, was good. People
Right.
come in, but I was just wondering about sales tax. But mostly it's, audit, enforcement, fire code. So if we hired a full-time economic development director, it would seem to me, or I'll ask you that question, who's going to do the other stuff?
That's
So we'd have to consider that,
question.
I mean, I think we need we've got the money. There's no question about it. That we have the money, that we could hire the one certified position. What is the amount, the position we're eliminating? How much are we?
Oh.
It's a
That's Public Works,
not a
janitorial.
high, I know it's not a
$30,000
high
or
level, but,
$40,000.
but,
not comparable.
But you didn't put that in this year's budget, this
I
next
did
year's
not.
budget.
No, I
Okay.
did not.
But
The other thing that I think is missing also on the city manager's report, we had a meeting with 2 developers. The 3 people in the audience here that you saw tonight, has had some sort of impact with, and so have I. But you're not seeing that on my report, because I don't do a report for the city manager. I report out on all the departments, but I don't report out on what I do. And so I've actually started to keep an economic development file because of how much I do. And this morning was all about the development of a property. And so that's not, I need to start reporting that out as well. I think that would be helpful for the council.
okay.
I like
Well, go ahead.
I like the
Councilor-
3 positions too, because Will has not been in that position for how long?
I think this is his 8th month, because he started at the end of November sometime. So I know he had 7th, 8th, I think this is 8th or 9th month.
Well, for being in the position only that long, I think he has either found businesses that were here that were not paying taxes to Leon Valley that are now paying taxes, which means a lot, and that he has impact on new business that have come in. So I think he's doing a great job.
So if that's what you all choose to do, and again, however you choose, we'll make sure it happens. But we're kind of in a stagnant position right now, in that if you say, go ahead with the pink option, do you want me to go ahead and keep, Will's already gone through the first certification, he breezed through it, of the economic development. Do you want me to send him to the other 3? Do you want me to keep going or not? That's where I don't want to waste taxpayer money if this is not the direction the council will then go the following year, because then we've just certified somebody. And what if we go in a different direction?
I think he's shown that he's worth the effort.
Yeah, okay. Let me hear from Councilor Rodriguez. She hasn't said anything yet.
I was going to go exactly where Ms. Alcazar was going. If he's been doing well so far, does he lack that much more to get certified?
Yes, Councilor Rodriguez, he probably lacks 3 more classes. and the test. He already got through the first one. And then he was registered to go to 2 and 3 at the same time in Utah, and I pulled the plug on it because I knew we had these options, and I didn't want to spend taxpayer dollars not knowing what your policy decision would be.
Well, having looking at your report and how active he's been, I mean, I would like to see him, in my opinion, continue on and hopefully get certified. That maybe we could retain him instead of losing him if he's doing a good job.
But retaining him and doing the same position that he's
Well, no,
doing?
maybe
You see
eventually
what I'm
moving
saying?
into the certified position.
Ms. Charles?
I don't, you can kind of compare it to longevity pay. This is incentivizing someone who's already doing a great job, is working hard for the city, has only been in a position for 8 or 9 months, and is willing to do the work and has a desire to improve himself. So it's compared to longevity pay, you know. You're trying to incentivize him to do better and to keep a person that you've already groomed and trained.
And the interesting thing about this is that if honestly, if there's not some consistency with the council, I don't think, I would ask him to sign a contract. If he's going to use taxpayer dollars to become economic development certified, then I would ask him to sign a contract to use that knowledge on the city of Leon Valley for at least 2 years. And I think he's very hesitant to sign that right now because he doesn't know what direction the council wants to go. And so, so whatever the direction is, if we could just know.
Okay. Councilor Martinez, you wanted to say something else.
I think, excuse me, but I think some of the other counselors are mixing up functions. And I say that because his job as code enforcement is what's causing him to go out and find these businesses that are not paying sales tax to Leon Valley. That is not an economic development function. An economic development function is a person that is a cheerleader and very, very outgoing, very, very personable person that is going out there and rah, rah, rah for Leon Valley and trying to get businesses to move into Leon Valley. It's not a code enforcement. It's not doing business inspections. It's not doing, as businesses move in, he goes out and checks for if they're zoned properly or they're, the different certificates that are, that need to be done. So you're confusing and thinking just because he's going out there and finding 7 businesses that aren't paying sales tax to Leon Valley. That is not an economic development function.
So, Mayor, Councilor Martinez, if I could, I've taught economic development, both rural and urban economic development in several colleges, and that's actually not accurate. Economic development, that's exactly what we're trying to do with this position. It's the way it was presented last year. It's introducing yourself to the new businesses with your business card, and while you're there, being able to go ahead and do the first inspection instead of going back to the office and ordering it. It's actually a means of condensing the process, number one, and making certain that every new business sees this face and has his card so they know who to call. And yes, absolutely he's not a code enforcement officer, but because he is certified to do these things, he's able to take his business card, introduce himself as the business relations specialist and say, this is what we need to do. I can do the first part for you if you'd like. So that is absolutely economic development. Economic development is finding the businesses that are not paying taxes that should be. It's finding businesses that are not in compliance that should be. And it's not an effort so that you can shut the business down. It's an effort so that you can build them back up and let them be and make and ensure that they're successful. So one of the tools that we teach in economic development, for instance, is making certain that businesses know how to do payroll taxes and how to submit their sales taxes and how to, all of the tax things that they have to do. Making certain that they understand that all employees have to have an I-9 form, trying to set them up for success. That's part of economic development as well, so that you don't lose your businesses so fast, so that they're successful and so that they stay.
But this is where I kind of disagree with you. Economic development is, like I say, is a cheerleader position. They're trying to go out there and entice businesses to move into Leon Valley. What you just described is a business that's already operating, and he walks in to the store, and, oh, hey, Mr. Bradshaw, how are you doing? I'm from Leon Valley, and you're already in operation. This is before they even get their certificate of occupancy. He's having the interaction with them, so they've already rented the space, and they're already here. Now it's just working through the process. To me, the economic development is to lure the people in way even before we get to the Bill's position.
So, Mayor, Councilor Martinez, you're right. You're talking about one arm of economic development. I'm talking about one arm of economic development. Economic development has many, many facets.
I agree.
But you're right. Cheerleader is one arm. You're absolutely right about that. But the point is, if you set up a business to succeed and you make certain that every business has a face and they know who they can contact as they're going through the process, we're trying to make the process easy and less painful on them.
I agree 1,000%. In fact, I'm the one that has been harping and advocating for Leon Valley to be business friendly, and I applaud that. And I'll even go one step further. Lately, when Brandon has made presentations, he's even started using the word business friendly. So, yes, things are slow to work, but they are working. So I want to just mention that. But at the point where Bill comes in, it's a business that's already applied for the certificate of occupancy,
yes.
And the position is great because now we have somebody that's working with the business and trying to get them established so they're doing things the right way, and that to me is being business friendly. So yes, I agree with that, but I think the economic position or economic development director position should be a completely separate person.
Okay, thank you for that. Ms. Charles.
So how many new businesses have we gotten in the last 8 months?
Ooh, I'd have to go look at my certificates of occupancy.
Actually, it's 10 months. If he came in November, this is the 10th month.
He hasn't been here 10 months. He gave us the presentation in June, and I think he was completing his 6th month.
His 6th month was whenever he gave the presentation, that was his
He
half
came
a
in
year.
January? Because he presented it at the town hall meeting in January.
No, he didn't come in January. Whenever he presented, that was his 6th month. His hire date was end of November, but I don't know the date.
So do you have a ballpark figure of how many new businesses?
August, 9th month.
So he's been here
9 months. This would be the 9th month.
December, and then
between 8 and 9 months.
December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. This is the 9th month.
we're the 6th, right.
We're in the 9th month.
He hasn't.
Mayor, Councilor Charles, I get probably 4 to 5 certificates of occupancy. Between 5 and 10 certificates of occupancy every 2 weeks.
So how do we get those without a certified economic development director?
We're doing it ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, we're doing it
So it's
ourselves.
working.
I mean, one thing that some of the people that we're working with right now are the property owners, as we were doing this morning, are the owners of the strip centers, as we were doing right before I left. So rather than reaching out to single businesses, we've been working with the property owner at the Peter Piper. They just expanded that 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 business, and been talking to them about different tenants. And so we seem to be more right now working with the property owner or the leasing agents versus the small businesses. When small businesses come in, those are really the ones that you need to take by the hand and make certain that they succeed. Because that's exactly what we want. We don't want certificates of occupancy don't matter if they've closed 6 months later. And so we want a certificate of occupancy, and then we want them to stay here.
Well, last year we had the same kind of discussion, and it was a split council, and so that's why we said give it a year, and then we would reassess it. But now I'm hearing, well, it's not a year, so we, need to give them more time, blah, blah, blah. So it's really, the way I look at it is, do you want the structure on the right with the red? Because that's the structure that's in place to continue. Or do you want a certified position, maybe not of experience, but the one up above it, because it's pretty close, plus it's got to be another code person, right? Somebody else? So I don't know. I mean, go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Bradshaw.
so
but,
I guess
this is where we
our
were
choices
last time.
are to keep the current structure we had, as the mayor said, where we have the business relations specialist, city manager, and special events coordinator doing the job, basically, of the economic development. Or do we hire a separate economic development director? But it's not to get rid of the business relations specialist. We would still keep that. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's the council's choice. You can do one of the colors. You can do a combination of colors.
Right.
You can do something different.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why is the special events coordinator under economic development? That's because we have a special events category in our budget.
Right,
so-
but she does the 4th of July special, the 4th of July special, or whatever the event is called. She does our business ribbon cuttings.
Okay.
But for those who don't know, the newer council people, we have had very unsuccessful, we have had people named as, I don't know that any of them were ever
They weren't
properly
experienced.
certified,
Yeah.
but they had plenty of
Right.
supposed
But they weren't
experience.
certified.
One sued the city, one used every bit of leave to not do anything, one didn't have, had all the gung-ho cheerleader type thing, but didn't have the skills to do it, and a fourth one didn't stay around. So this is all in the past time that I've been around here, and we're doing a great job right now. Let it continue, and then as it evolves, let the money be used for that. I mean, I was asking, we never get, for example, anything done with flooding. It just always comes up, and then it's one, if it doesn't get a grant, it doesn't get done. So let's look at using it and not taking money just because a technical position. We're doing a great job. The staff is doing a great job, and what they're doing, it's working. You don't take it and throw it out just because we want a cheerleader. We had a cheerleader, it didn't work.
Yes. Yes, you may. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, good. Okay. Mr. Martinez, I'd like to hear from our citizens that are still here before we make the decision. I think we'll need to have a vote on this. Mr. Bradshaw, did you have something?
I am not advocating getting rid of the business retention position. He is doing a fantastic job, but I just think we need to take the economic development portion away from him and get somebody else. Because his resume is that long, or his job duties. And his job duties are more than anybody else's around.
All right, Mr. Bradshaw?
I feel like, and I understand the frustration in the past that we've had economic development directors that maybe didn't work out, but I kind of feel like it's about like a basketball team. You go through coaches until you get a good coach. You go through the programs, and sometimes they don't always work out. But the current position that we have, the way we're working on it, where we have economic development and He's also doing code enforcement and other things. It's like taking Coach Popovich and giving him a whistle and say, you call the game. That doesn't work. You can't do that. I think we need to separate the positions.
Okay. We have a citizen that would like to say something. Ms. Chasen, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Tina Chasen, Forest Oaks. First of all, I feel like if we're going ahead with the development of the boulevard concept, then I feel like we definitely need an economic development director to steer the correct businesses and facilities that we want to move into Leon Valley. That's my opinion. I happened to look up define economic development director because what I feel that our city manager said was just a small part of what the duty is. The role of the economic development director: to avoid such a situation, economic development directors work to strengthen their local economy and diversify their city's tax bases. They recruit new businesses. They retain existing ones, handing out cards and shaking hands, and assist businesses when they can expand operations locally. And that's just one of several. It's just the shortest, more concise one that I could read.
Thank
Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right. Anyone else? Thank you for that. Okay. So I see again the split this year like we had last year. So does somebody want to make a motion, and we'll have a formal vote on this so that you know. Well, of course you don't. And I guess in that motion, what I'm hearing the manager say, she would like some longer direction, is what I heard you say.
Yeah, and I realize that's
So,
hard because
it's hard because
the
the council changes too.
Exactly, and I
so.
understand that. But you know, would I guess let's just at least pose this question: if you choose the business relations specialist, if you just choose the pink, for instance, and you decide you don't want, or if you choose both, that answers my questions. He's not going to get the training. But if you choose the pink, do you want me to continue down that path and spend the money to get him certified?
Does that mean he's automatically Leon Valley's Economic Development Director at the end of his training?
I mean, it can mean a lot of things. Depends on what the council wants. That's not my decision. It's really yours.
Well,
because I'll come back next year again, and if one of the councilors during the budget presentation says, I'd like to see that position, just like you see this year, you see bits and pieces of the council throughout this budget. Because as I'm going, I try to give you back what you're asking. So if somebody asks me for that again next year, or if I feel like it needs, to be presented or whatever, I think it does need to be presented again, then it's going to look like this again next year. So no, it doesn't necessarily mean he has to be Leon Valley's economic development, but I think that it's the responsible thing to do to the taxpayer. If you're going to spend that amount of money on an employee, training and furthering their education, that they sign a contract to stay.
Okay, and how much is that? Just so
I
we
think
all
by the
know.
time I'm giving you a ballpark, so
But we
don't
need to
hold me
know
to
that.
this, because it depends on where the training is too, because they float all over the United States. He happened to find a great find in Utah where 2 and 3 were done. So depending on where they are, I'm going to say you would invest anywhere between, I don't know, 15 to 30,000 is my guess. That sound about right to you guys? I think it's, yeah.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we retain the process we're doing it with the 3.
I'm sorry, isn't this the public hearing part? The second read comes
Oh,
next.
Yeah.
She wanted a motion.
Is this the second read? No.
No, this is the public.
It's just the public hearing. Okay.
Right.
So.
So that's
yeah.
in 7-4, we do it?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So we'll do the.
And then the final one that I'll need the motion on is the attorneys.
Okay. Very good.
And then we can go on to the second read.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Miss Frederick. She's going to step out for a minute.
So can we have an explanation again of the 203,000? How much of that amount, is that, would have been necessary whether or not we had a city attorney or an outside attorney? I'm saying, supposing we had a city attorney and outside attorney were both 113,000 for the year 2019, but we had to spend an extra 90,000 on somebody else.
Mhm.
What would be the reason for spending the extra 90,000, or why did that happen?
First, your city attorney is not a litigation attorney. And so if we have, restraining order filed against us by a business we've shut down or something like that, we're going to have to retain an attorney. If we get sued, we will have to retain an attorney. The 312 hearing, the Counselor Martinez case, has cost us significantly this year. And at this time when this was done, because it's outdated now, I think we were at 50,000. So you could literally reduce that by 50,000 and you'd be at 40, and so you'd be at 158. And so even if you were to reduce that, you're still paying more than, if you can see the switch where I was unhappy in 2015 and went, we're paying too much, I think we should bring somebody in-house. And do you see how it goes down that next year? So I thought we were on a roll. I thought we were going to do well. And then it blew up, and we've paid more every year since then.
So now how much would it cost if we, right now, do we have a figure of what we'd have to pay for like an outside firm who can do anything we need?
Mayor, Councilor Aug6, I don't have that figure because it depends on what we need. It depends on if we get sued. It depends on, we would go out and we would do an RFQ, and then we would look at what each attorney costs, whether or not they're qualified, and then we'd look at what they cost per hour. But you can
How
see.
are we able to make a decision then?
You can see in 2014 and 2015, we were only using outside attorneys. 2016, we went in-house, and we've been in-house since then, but we've also used outside attorneys. 2018, I don't think was that bad. 2017, because we only used 19,000, but we used 50 and then, 90 plus this year.
The last time we went for RFQs, which has been many years ago, as I recall, we negotiated a flat rate per month, that included 2 city council meeting plus X number of hours.
Right.
Where's Crystal?
Right, that's
correct.
correct.
She knows that.
That
So
is correct.
That's how you limit that's how you control your cost.
And it depends if a lot of cities right now are paying per hour. So I think it just depends on what a firm's willing to do.
They're willing. They want our business, and they'll do it that way, I think.
Yeah, I think
really
so too.
do. And I just feel like, I don't know.
I can tell you
I'm for doing the, going back to where we used to have just the outside attorney. I think in hindsight that was better, so, just based on my experience. So, Councilor Martinez.
I agree with you, Mayor. One of the advantages, even, we just went to Hog Wild from Rampage Law, or Navarro.
Denton Navarro.
Denton Navarro. One of the advantages of them is they have, I believe, 20 attorneys. So, they'll assign an attorney specifically to our city that'll do most of the work. But if we have a special case, that attorney can go, hey, Bob, Leon Valley has a problem. Give me your ideas. Or, hey, Bill. And, they can, you're getting the benefit of 20 attorneys for the price of one.
Specializations. The specializations.
Yeah, you're getting, so, that's basically the way I run my business. For one money, a company's getting 5 employees.
And what did you learn in Hog Wild, though?
You
prefaced
every
it, so
session has been fantastic. I learned something.
You just saw the specialization of each of the
yeah.
lawyers. Okay,
Yeah,
that was your point.
They each had their own topic.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Charles.
I just want to ask, with an in-house attorney, a city attorney, How advantageous is that for, and how many times do you believe that the staff make use of the city attorney, and for good reason? And what would that cost if you didn't have one and they didn't have that accessibility?
So the staff definitely makes use of the city attorney, and the staff likes having the city attorney here, and they like the fact that she's so thorough with our documents and our contracts, and they feel very comfortable. It took me, I don't know, 6 months, a year, something like that, where all of a sudden, if I see a Denise Frederick signature on a contract, I feel very comfortable and just semi-looking at it and signing it, as long as I know what it's about. I don't look at it anymore the way I used to. So yes, but if another attorney were to, that I were to trust in contract law were to do that, I would do the same thing. So yes, staff does enjoy that. But right now we're just looking at the numbers. What staff the way it would limit staff, I think was the second part of your question, is the staff would have to go probably through me, to say, yes, you may call this attorney for that. No, you may not. Because that's what I didn't like when I very first got here. There was calls to attorney that other people could have answered, that there was no need to call for legal advice on that. And that's what I was not liking.
Do you believe the value of a city attorney has really kept a lot of the staff and the city out of trouble because of their accessibility and ability to answer questions?
No, I don't. I believe that the value of the city attorney is in the contracts and the paperwork that flows through her desk. And we don't worry about how much paperwork we send her, or we don't worry about that type of stuff because we know we're not getting billed per hour. So that would certainly change. And I would pay more attention, and there's certain small contracts that I would just do myself. I hope I answered your question. I'm not trying to dodge it.
No, it did. But then the outside attorney too, the contract would include coming to council meetings to keep us out of trouble?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That'd have to be part of the contract. And the other way you could do it is, if you decided to go outside, you could split up the prosecutor and use somebody for a prosecutor. You could use somebody to do everything else. You could use one firm to do everything. Just kind of depends on the way your RFQs come in, what the council wants.
Ms. Alcazar.
At one of the conferences I attended recently, there was another special addition to the law firm was actually a city planner. And I said, wow. And so I talked to them more, and they said, yeah, we have so many questions where we have an expert on planning and zoning as the attorney, but we thought it advantageous to add a planner. And I said, oh, wow. And then as you listened and as they presented and, they tag teamed each other, it was an impressive thing to do. And I thought that in particular was something our city itself could use. So I'm tending to think an outside firm might be where we need to go now. I'm just ambivalent, but I like the idea of the firms we've seen. I've seen 3 different ones in the past 2 months, and I would pick my favorite of the 3, but you can't do it that way. So you have to listen to them. But what we need is, I think that would help the city right now is just is probably a firm.
And for the record, this, just to make it very clear, this isn't about Denise Frederick. This is about the value that the Leon Valley taxpayer is getting and what it's costing them for legal services. That's what it's about. You have to remove the person, and you have to think about the policy decision that you're about to make.
Right. Just one other note.
But it has nothing to do with
Ms. Kinsler, and that is, as I've read and reread and read the Home Rule Charter, the city attorney is your decision.
The hiring of the city attorney is my decision, but your decision is the budget. So you let me know as to whether or not.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I just wanted to bring that up. Yes, Mr. Bradshaw.
Just looking at the
If it's
historical
not a
costs.
position, it's not my decision.
Yeah, exactly. I understand, but it's still your decision.
The historical cost of our city attorney, 2016, it's lower, obviously, so I'm assuming that was a partial year. It was
Yeah.
significantly lower. But then 2017 to 2018, there's a 14% increase. It seemed pretty significant. And then 2018 to 2019 is 4%, so I'm assuming that's the general. So I mean, if we continue with our city attorney every year, it's going to go up 4%. You can
That's
assume,
correct.
right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If council approves the 2 and
Right.
2, that's right.
Okay, so any other questions, comments on the city attorney? Does anyone in the chambers have a thought? Mr. Blackmore, and I want you to know I opened up the public hearing about 8:15, so because that's whenever we heard from Ms. Chasen, so.
My name is Richard Blackmore. I live on Leon Valley. I think it's a good idea having an attorney, a city attorney, that sits on the council. It comes to the different commissions. I like the idea of the employees having somebody, an attorney that knows the city and knows the employees. I think we should continue having a city attorney and not go outside to another law firm or anything like that. They wouldn't have the sense of what we have here in Leon Valley, or know the employees. An attorney that will be here on a continuous basis that the employees can go to for advice, or anybody on one of the commissions. I know the city attorney now, she has showed up, I'm on the zoning commission, and didn't always agree with her, but got us straightened out, and it's been good. She's also been there for the Police Advisory Commission. And I don't know about the others, but I just like the way having a city attorney instead of somebody coming from outside that doesn't know the city. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Blackmore. Appreciate it.
And
Anyone
it is
else?
nice. It is nice to be able to call the city attorney to the meetings and not have to worry about the billing.
Okay, we have Ms. Baldridge that wanted to add something. Good evening and welcome.
I just would like to make a comment
Mhm.
or two about history here.
Mhm.
By having a single attorney, not staffed, but sitting on the council, you get a lot of outside input, which can be very, very helpful. We had a gentleman, I think the whole time I was
Harvey Hardy.
working with other cities as well. And you'd be surprised what kind of information they can bring that's very helpful. I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you. I remember him. May his soul rest in peace. Okay, he's dead now. All right, anyone else? Okay.
So-
And we'll vote on it at in the next, okay.
Correct. I just didn't know if there's any other questions or discussions for the public hearing or what you wanted to do.
If there's any,
about that question.
oh, yes, please, I'm sorry, Counselor.
No offense to Ms. Frederick, but is it possible for the amount of money like that she's getting in her base pay, maybe to find an attorney that might be a little bit more versatile toward what we need?
So go out for a different in-house attorney?
Like I'm saying, I don't really know. I know she's done a great job from what I've seen, but if we still have, spots that, or gaps that are things that come up frequently or that we may need more often, is it possible to find one, like in other words, an attorney that's going to really suit our needs?
Mayor Riley, Dr. Rodriguez, based on my experience, no. Because, as Councilor Martinez pointed out, they're specialized. Ms. Frederick was a good find in that she worked for the city of San Antonio for 20 years. She's she's really good at contracts. And she understands municipal law. She was able to pick up in municipal court and move, and So yeah, she was a unique find, but she still was specialized in the city of San Antonio because just like large law firms, they have their specializations as well. So I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying based on, and at the time, I think the city manager at the time could have hired, just like the city manager could have hired the police chief and the city attorney, but I still asked council to help. And so I asked
We were all there.
all the council to
Was you,
interview.
me,
There was
and
like
David
three.
Edwards, three of
Yeah,
us.
Dr. Edwards, Councilor Alcacer, and it wasn't the whole council for this one. So I wanted council input as well on the attorney.
Been a
And
while.
so we decided unanimously on number 1 and number 2, just like the police chief was a city manager decision, but I had the whole council come in and we decided unanimously on 1 and 2. So the same thing happened here. And so I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that some of your more seasoned council members, i.e. Councilor Alcacer and Mayor Riley, can share with you that that's not really that easy to find, is what I'm, based on my experience.
I think we interviewed, 4 or 5 people? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought they had pretty good experience when I think about it. Okay. It is now, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:54. And let's just take about a 5 or 6 minute break. I've been, so we all can go, I was going to say go visit Mrs. Murphy. So, Vicki, where do we make these motions? In what agenda item that we just discussed in number 3? Where would we make those motions?
It would be number 4. You would make the regular motion and then go and say that you, whatever the motion is that you
Okay.
want to do, in reference to the ED person, in reference to the city attorney.
Okay.
In reference to whatever she wants you to specify.
Okay, all right.
And
Very,
the,
so it's number 4, the
longevity.
one that's coming up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Okay. So we're back on the record at 8 minutes after 9 from a break. And Ms. Pasale, if you'll please read agenda item number 7.4, please.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council adopting the annual operating budget and capital acquisition plans for the City of Leon Valley for fiscal year 2020, approving projects included in the plans, appropriating funds, and providing for payment.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Ms. Kinsler, how do you, this is our first read.
No, this is your second read.
It says, first read was held, excuse me.
There you
This
go.
is our second read, so we need to vote. That's right, correct, I'm sorry.
And so the only other thing I wanted to add, but I asked Ms. Frederick's permission because I was concerned with HIPAA violations. I want to make sure that you know that the reason for outside counsel in 2017 and 18, one of the reasons is because she had surgery 2 years in a row. So we had to bring in outside counsel for that, for like 6 weeks one time and 8 weeks one time. And so that's the reason for the spikes in those 2 years. So with 2018, it really wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Okay, so for the budget, you have the motion in front of you. Included in that, I need these 5 or 6 items.
And I'd like to take those individually, please.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right.
I think that's the easiest way to do
Okay,
it.
so Mayor, did you want to do those first then?
I think so.
Okay.
What do y'all think? And then we'll adopt the budget numbers
Absolutely.
with those changes.
Okay, sure. So the first question is whether or not the council approves of the Christmas holiday schedule that was proposed.
All right. So may I have a,
I move that we approve as proposed for the Christmas holiday.
okay.
I'll second. Oh.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Rodriguez to approve the Christmas holidays as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. All right. Next one.
The Battle of the Flowers holiday observed the 4th Friday in April.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
that we observe the Battle of the Flowers as a holiday.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Counselor Bradshaw and a second by Counselor Martinez to approve observing the Battle of Flowers holiday in April. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does pass. Thank you. Number 3.
Number 3 is what your city manager proposed for longevity, which is $8 a month, or leave it the same at $4 a month, or what your smarter council suggested, which was the structure by year.
Since you put it like that, we'll go with the
I'm
smart
sorry.
council.
I should have no bias in that. I shouldn't have said that, but I wish I would have thought of that myself. When you all thought of that, I went, why didn't I think of that?
Okay, so the tiered longevity pay. May I have a motion?
So move.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion by Counselor Aug6 and a second by Counselor Charles to adopt the tiered longevity pay structure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Number 4.
Okay, so number 4 then is your economic development director.
Okay.
That is,
okay.
I make a motion that we have a separate economic development director, but keep the business specialist.
I second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Bradshaw to hire a separate economic development director and keep the business specialist as discussed. And Ms. Bospley, let's take a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Charles?
No.
Counselor Rodriguez?
No.
Counselor Alcacer?
No.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
And Counselor Bradshaw?
Yes.
Okay. That's defeated 3 noes and 2 ayes.
and so then, given that we're going to keep the business relations specialist only, do you want me to proceed with getting him certified?
Well, I think we need another motion that says the combination of 3, right? Isn't that what y'all want to do?
Can we combine the motion to include that?
Well, you can do however you want to do it, unless you were going to eliminate that position too. But it sounds like everybody was in favor of that position, just some of you were in favor of both.
Okay.
Well, but, I mean, I think, I just want it clarified that Mr. Will is going to do economic development and the business relations specialist, and that you're going to continue to do it, and so is the special events coordinator, if that's what y'all want. Just think we need to be real clear, and for how long, and certification. Yeah.
I move that we keep the pink proposal and to include that Mr. will be allowed to take the certification that he could have taken earlier this year to complete his certification, and that in so doing that he commit to a minimum of 2 years to Leon Valley and using it.
I second.
Okay, yes, and we have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by Counselor Charles to keep the pink proposal, including certification by the business relations specialist and a commitment for 2 years. Further discussion, Mr. Martinez.
Yes, I'd like to make a modification to that motion that he be allowed only for the city to pay for 1 test only. If he fails that test, any retests are on him.
Good motion.
Do you all accept that? Do you allow that amendment for the 1 test?
Is that the way it proceeds?
So, Mayor, Councilor Alcacer, Councilor Martinez, I'm not sure who I'm talking to right now. But what happened when I very first got here is the person had taken the test already 2 or 3 times, and then there was a travel slip on my desk requesting that she fly to Florida to take the test for the 3rd or 4th time, and I denied it, and I made her take it on her own.
But his
at her own
seems
expense.
to be limiting it to If you
One
take,
test.
well, but that, his was saying you take one element of it and take a test for that element, and
No.
that wasn't my understanding.
So,
No,
so he is,
that's- no.
Counselor Martinez is correct in that
Right.
you go through each of the elements and you don't take the test to be certified until the end.
Yeah, that was my understanding, but if the proposal is that the test for the certification, if taken the first time, it's on the city, and
There you go.
thereafter the person pays for it?
Yes.
Yeah, then I accept it.
Okay.
I accept that.
All right, so, roll call vote. Ms. Postlewaite, did y'all understand the motion? It's to go to the pink slip, that's the 3 different positions, plus certification coverage, that's the $15,000 to $30,000 for Will,
The courses.
for the courses, and then committing for 2 years, and that there'll be only one opportunity for him to pass it that the city would pay for on the certification at the end of all of his
Just-
classes.
Just to
Correct.
be clear, if the city's going to pay for this, when would the 2-year commitment start? When you get certified? Because
Once
if
you
it
get
takes
certified.
2 years to get certified, and right, if we're paying for it in the interim, it would be after certification, 2 years.
No, that's correct, but Mayor Counselor Alcacer, Mayor Counselor Bradshaw, I would go ahead and do the contract now, because we wouldn't want to invest in him.
Right.
but-
You
but
need the
you're right.
contract, but it will state that after you're certified, you will
There you
stay
go.
on for 2 years. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
You are correct, sir, yes.
Okay.
Okay, did I get a second on the?
Yes, she agreed to the modification.
Ms. Charles, okay, very good. So, Ms. Postlewaite, if you'll please call the roll.
Counselor Charles?
Approve.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Alcacer?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
And Counselor
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. All right, and the last,
The last question is the attorney costs, whether or not you want to retain the in-house attorney position, or whether or not you want to do an RFQ for outside services.
Can I have a question before we
go ahead.
make a motion?
Go ahead.
I would like to know if it's possible to get an RFQ before a final decision is made on that. Could it be a budget hold for X amount and then make a decision after, because we have no clue what the RFQ would come in. Maybe it'll come at $200,000. And
No, I don't think you have time. You don't have time to adopt your budget with that.
but I mean, can we do it as a budget hold of
As
X
a
amount of
placehold?
dollars?
I don't have an issue with that as long as we can get everything done for you on time. How do you feel? We can hold it like that?
Well, the money's going to be there.
That's exactly right. It just depends on what category it's in. That's right. Yeah, exactly. We need to know before we adopt the budget what way you want to go. Because we can't adopt a budget and not keep with the position or eliminate the position. So basically, you would delay adopting the budget.
We can't do that.
Delay
You can-
adopting, but like the placeholder, we know we need the city attorney.
That's exactly right. So the placeholder, for instance, for your grant, it's sitting there, and if you don't use it, it's just going to revert back to your general fund.
Oh, we will use the money, whether it's for the in-house attorney or the outhouse attorney.
That's correct. The issue.
Outhouse attorney.
Deliberate, that was deliberate.
That's correct. The issue is when you are approving a budget, you're also approving positions. And so I need to know whether or not a position is approved.
Well, to me,
Right.
it's
That's-
understood
that's
that
the
it's
issue.
either, the position is there, it's either going to be in-house or outhouse.
The issue is it's a contractual position versus an FTE.
Okay.
And so I need to know if you've approved this budget and if you have, with how many FTEs, whether or not you eliminate an FTE. I told you at the beginning that I wanted to eliminate the one FTE at the library and use the services that we use here. And so I just need to know whether or not you want the position.
Mr. Martinez.
And I'd like to make a motion that we go with an outside firm.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Aug6 to seek an RFQ for the FY 2020 budget from an outside legal firm. Any further discussion? Ms. Pasolé, if you'll please call the roll.
Counselor Rodriguez? I'm sorry, Counselor Charles?
No.
Counselor Rodriguez?
No.
Counselor Alcacer?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
And Counselor Bradshaw?
Yes.
Can you restate? We want to make sure we got the motion was correct. What did you say?
Outside legal firm.
Okay, so that is what you
Outside legal
okay.
firm for...
That's not
for
what Vicki heard. Okay.
Outside legal firm RFQ for 2020
Okay.
budget. And the motion passes 2 nays and 3 ayes.
3 ayes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we need to, is there anything other specifics that we needed? I think we got through them all. Now, we
No,
need to
ma'am.
do the budget adoption, and this is the 7.4. And so this is a recorded vote, and so I would need a counselor to please move. Yes, Mr. Martinez.
Then I move to adopt the ordinance approving the budgets and associated capital acquisition plans for the city of Leon Valley, Texas for the fiscal year 2020 as amended tonight.
Ms. Pasolé, would you please? Oh, may I have a
second.
second? Yes, may I have a second? So I have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Bradshaw to adopt the ordinance approving the budgets and associated capital acquisition plans for the city of Leon Valley for the fiscal year 2020 as amended. Ms. Pasolé, if you'll please.
Question,
Oh, yeah,
do we
further-
have to delineate, or is that
No,
what we
as
just did?
amended.
Okay.
We just fixed
Right,
it, I
as
believe.
amended.
Right? I'm good with that.
Ms. Pasolé, if you'll please call the roll.
Counselor Charles?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Alcacer?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
And Counselor Bradshaw?
Yes.
The budget passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Then moving to agenda item number 7.5. Ms. Pasolé, if you please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council ratifying the fiscal year 2020 budget that will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $309,507 or 7.17%, and of that amount, $11,565,561 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the roll this year.
Thank you. Vicki, are you going to present something here? Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just had a question because you and I talked last week. So would you explain where the 7.17 increase comes from, especially since we
Right,
adopted the
since we're
same,
not
since we
doing-
adopted our effective
So
tax rate?
basically for
Yeah.
this is
Mhm.
only to do with the budget. We're only
Right.
looking at what we had budgeted for fiscal year 18 and what we put in there for 19. So what's the difference? That's what that's for. That's all that's for.
Mhm.
Doesn't have anything to do with the official calculation that Bear County does or anything.
And I guess my question to you was that increase that, well, you said last year it was 10%, right? You and I talked about that, but what is attributing to that increase?
More revenue. In other words, we're putting in
From-
309 more from fiscal year 18 to, from fiscal year 19 to fiscal year 20.
Okay.
That's it.
And that's from our appraisals, right? Our values primarily?
Correct.
Okay, so that's it?
That's it.
Okay, all right. I think, is it red light camera? Is it,
No,
impound
no, it has
lot?
nothing to
Because,
do-
we.
I'm
we-
sorry,
we
yes.
keep- Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure everybody
Property
understood that.
tax.
Property tax. Okay, yeah, property tax.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want it?
I make a motion, we approve.
Oh, no, you got to read it.
You have
You
to
got to
read
read
it.
it. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, I'll
Huh?
do the motion.
I got a cheat
Go
sheet?
ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ms.
I move to
Alcacer.
adopt the ordinance ratifying the fiscal year 2020 budget That will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $309,507, or 7.17%, and of that amount, $11,565,561 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the roll this year.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Charles to adopt the ordinance ratifying the fiscal year 2020 budget that will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $309,507, or 7.17%. And of that amount, $11,565,561 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the roll this year. Ms. Bosley, if you'll please call the roll.
Counselor Charles?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Alcacer?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
And Counselor Bradshaw?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, so that's 5. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Vicki and Ashley and Kelly and all of the directors for working on the budget. And I think this is the earliest. Last year it was the second meeting in August that we passed it. So this is even earlier. So anyway, hard work, lots of great input, and thank you all very much.
I echo the thank you.
Yeah, you bet, because it's hard, and that's our primary job, is this budget as a council, I think. So anyway, but thank you. All right, moving then to regular agenda 8.1. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that agenda, that ordinance.
An ordinance establishing and adopting for the purpose of taxation the calendar year levying a tax of 0.475377 for maintenance and operations and 0.068213 for interest and sinking fund for a total tax rate of 0.543590 on all property subject to taxation and situated in the city of Leon Valley, Texas, on the first day of January 2019, establishing the rate of said levy, determining due date, delinquent date, interest rates and delinquencies, and for penalties and delinquencies, and determining the enacting and delinquencies, and for penalties and delinquencies, and determining and enacting other matters pertinent, necessary, and incident to the subject, and providing for savings clauses.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Vicki, do you have anything to add on this? This is our first read as required by the city charter.
I would just like to go over really, really quick. I'll
Okay.
make it really fast, so that for the new ones to understand, to sort of get this, because they've not been part of the tax process. So normally, every single year after we adopt the budget, then we must adopt the tax rate. So the budget comes first, then the tax rate. If we exceed whichever is lower, the effective or the rollback rate, we are required to have 2 public hearings. If we don't, then we can go right into it and adopt the budget, which basically what we're doing here is for it's calendar year. So this is tax year 19, but we're supporting the fiscal year 20 budget because it's based upon a calendar year which starts January 1st and goes through December of 19. So basically, what we're proposing is a tax rate for maintenance and operation of 0.475377, interest and sinking of 0.68213. And the deal with this, it did go up a little bit, and the things that have an effect on that, Mayor, that we talked about is every year the tax assessor collector, they'll come back and they'll certify a collection rate. Last year they certified us at 99.3. This year they certified us at 98. That will always cause this to go up. We also had excess collections on our debt. So if we collect more debt than what we say we need, then basically they don't take it away, but they reduce your tax rate the following year. So the year before we had 57,000. This year we only had 27,000. So that's why you see, and that's where you're always going to see play in that. And that's something we have no control over because they set the debt rate based upon what we tell them our debt is. And we have to, by law, adopt whatever that debt rate is. So just so you can see the breakdown of it, the M&O, what we adopted in 18 was the 478277. We're adopting the 4753, so that's we're reducing it very, very small amount, 002900. The INS is going up 0.00613, so total we're going down 002287. And this is basically, when you go back and look at it, I'm going to give you, this is the breakdown of what the calculated effective rate is, which is the 543590. That is the tax rate that we are going to adopt. Therefore, we don't have to have the public hearings. That's what we're proposing. The rollback tax rate is, this year it's 8%.
8%.
Next year it's going to be 3.5. So this year the calculated one is 582017, and we're almost 4 cents below that. And so what we're recommending, of course, is that we adopt the effective tax rate of 543590. Yep. Questions?
And this is our second year in a row that we've adopted the effective tax rate. Usually it's higher than that, and we've had to have 2 public hearings. So, yes, Counselor.
We don't have to have a public hearing, but we have to have 2 reads.
Yes, ma'am, because that's by our, if it wasn't in our charter, we'd be done tonight. But since it is, we have to have.
But we didn't get this information till the end of July, right? So when we presented it in
Correct.
the
There's no way I
16th, we
could
didn't, we didn't have that information.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's what I remembered.
But
Okay.
you also have to, legally, they say you adopt your budget, then you adopt your tax rate, too.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Wallace? Okay, well then we'll be back next meeting to,
And
yes.
I don't have to read all this. We can just,
Okay.
unless you have any questions, just,
Okay.
it'll be under ordinance.
Thank
just read
you.
right through it.
I appreciate it. Okay, agenda item number 8.2, discuss and consider possible action to award the fiscal year 2020 group insurance bid for employee medical, dental, and life insurance, and to authorize the city manager to execute the insurance agreements. And we have Crystal Caldera this evening to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Crystal, good news.
Good news, yes. So, again, this is to award the contract for the employee group benefits for next year. This is the earliest we've ever done it, and so that made shopping around for health insurance a little bit more difficult. We usually adopt the health insurance like the first meeting in September. We did have some catastrophic events this year on our health insurance plan. We had a terminally ill patient on this year, and so it did cost our utilizations to go up. Blue Cross did what they call a no shop, which is a single rate increase as long as we agree not to shop. I thought if we went out and Gallagher agreed with us, Callie is here from Gallagher Benefit Services. Matt couldn't join us this evening. So she stuck it out the whole meeting.
She sure did. Thank you for that.
We all agreed that to get a single rate anywhere else was probably really unlikely, and so we took the no shop offer, and Gallagher negotiated the no shop with 0 increase in dental and in vision. And so we look at the rate increases for medical. They only went up 6.5%. Council currently pays the $626.17. The 2% that y'all authorized to give the staff for their cost of living is going to cover the increase in the employee child, at least the employee child increase for those employees. So they won't really see the raise, but it'll help cover that. 2% will help cover that cost and the increase in that benefit. On the buy-up plan, the council doesn't pay the buy-up plan. You only pay the $626.17. But we do offer an upgraded plan with a lower deductible for the staff, for those that do have chronic illnesses or injuries, and they have a lower deductible, but they do pay a higher rate. You only pay for the $626.17 for the employees.
And they can opt for the.
And they can up. And so the council only pays the $626, and so they would be responsible for the difference between the $666.68, ooh, that's a scary number, minus the $704.54 amount.
So, Crystal, how many people are in the buyout?
Right now,
employee-wise?
I'd have to look at my sheet.
Just a guesstimate.
19.
Just roughly. 19?
19, yeah.
Okay, 19, thank you. All right.
We have, 106?
On the plan, so we do have some retirees that don't opt for our plan because they're retirees of either military or medical or San Antonio, or they retired from somewhere else and they keep their retiree health insurance. They do decline coverage on our plan because we're the employer. We then become their primary health insurance provider, and sometimes their deductible on retiree health is a lot lower, like it's $500 deductible or a $400 deductible, and if they ever opt out of the retiree health, they can't opt back in. And so For instance, if they don't stay with the city of Leon Valley and they've opted out of their retiree health, they don't have that option, and we don't offer retiree health here. So they just decline our health insurance, and we have about 102, we have 116 full-time, but we only have maybe 101 to 102 employees that opt in our health insurance. We do have employees that do decline coverage, or their spouse has better coverage, and their deductible's a lot lower than ours, and they don't want our deductible affecting their deductible. And ours becomes primary because we're their employer by law. Our deductible would come first before their secondary insurance.
Now, how many direct employees did you say we have?
I think it's 104. I'd have to look. It's in your budget book for next year. I think it's 114. Right, right. But actual full-time employees.
14. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
So essentially, for dental, we had a renewal of 2256. When I uploaded the PowerPoint, it was a 4% increase. I think originally we ended up with a 0% increase in the dental. So total, it ended up coming out to 6.5% for both health, dental, and life insurance. We also opted to do with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We offered to do voluntary supplemental benefits. Y'all don't have anything to do with that. That comes out of the employee's check. If they want to do voluntary life, they could go ahead and opt for that. And so by offering those supplemental benefits through Blue Cross Blue Shield, Gallagher was also able to keep dental and life insurance at the same rate.
These are all monthly rates?
Yes.
And what is that value on the life insurance, like $10,000?
Yes, it's $10,000.
Okay. All right.
And so y'all already passed the budget. The money is in there for the budget. We budgeted 17%, and the health insurance came in at 6.4%.
Okay. So where's Vicky's left? So what's the difference?
As far as what? We budgeted 17%. This is
what was
6%.
That total amount?
So you want to know
minus-
money. So
Yeah, I do.
$80,000 savings in your general fund money, and $100,000 roughly overall in all departments.
Okay. So can we decide where that money goes to?
So it would roll into general fund balance. However, I would caution, and me and Vicki had this conversation, the other number that hasn't come in yet is our workers' comp and our property and liability yet from TML.
Okay.
And so I won't have those numbers in. I'll probably have them in by the next council meeting, hopefully. And so this past year, we did have a higher increase, and because we had a little bit of savings, it's all in the same line item in personnel in each of the departments, and so it's just easier just to use that money to pay for the increase in workers' comp or property and liability.
Okay, so you don't want to.
I don't want to touch it
dedicate
yet.
this money
Correct.
yet, because I was just thinking, because I read the book and I said, oh, good, I wonder how much that is, and I thought, well, maybe we could put that in our savings, our.
It would roll. It would just roll back into.
Well,
we
not
don't use
savings,
them.
but I meant the specific one with the
Reserve.
reserve. No, well, the emergency fund, because we need to, I mean, it's just a little bit, but
yeah.
you still just keep building it up. That's what I was thinking. But anyway, we don't have to make the decision tonight. But I was.
There is a savings there as far as health insurance is concerned.
Yeah,
it
but-
is in the personnel line items, and so once the property and liability and workers' comp and stuff come in, and sometimes what ends up happening with that is we get the rate, and then we get an audit like in April. And so when we add staff, like when Joe comes back for a budget adjustment to add detectives because red light camera's doing better, or when Public Works comes in and does a budget adjustment because they need a stormwater clerk, and council approves those items, midway through the year, we do get an audit. And so this past year, we got an audit, and we had added positions along the year, so we owed TML like $14,000. And so, but we have that in there when we have these little bit of savings, we keep those in those line items.
All right. I hear
to
what you're
kinda-
saying, yeah. I remember last year we had the savings, but I think
Used it
Mr.
for the-
Martinez put it on or suggested we put it on the COLA.
Yeah.
So I remember that. So there was always, whenever we see those savings, we like to try to apply it to wherever we want it. Okay, very
So
good.
this one takes a vote, right?
This one does take a vote, and basically, we're just recommending approval of the contract.
Okay.
I move that we approve the contract for medical.
Yes.
The first
No,
read.
it's not a first read.
No, it's
Not a
not.
first
There's no
read.
first
It's not
read
a
here.
first read.
Yeah.
Because of it's, So people,
Tied to the budget?
we got asked this question last year. Y'all approved the budget. The budget requires 2 reads. And the health insurance is in your budget already, and you've already done the 2 reads and public hearings on the budget already.
Okay.
And so when the health insurance, all you're doing is basically allowing the city manager to stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so it's not, it doesn't require a second read.
Okay.
So I move that we approve the contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield for medical, dental, vision, and MetLife.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Aug6 there and a second by Counselor Charles to, I'm sorry, Rodriguez. I just knew it was over here. Excuse me, you were fighting over it. To execute a contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the 2020 medical, dental, and MetLife insurance plan as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Okay,
you.
well, thank you and good luck, and thank you so much for waiting all night. We really appreciate it, and thanks for your efforts. Always love to save for our
Mayor, I want to clarify, the reason that wasn't a second read was because that was not an ordinance.
Thank
I
you.
just want to make sure for the record that there was
Appreciate
no.
it. Thank you so much for that. Okay. We're still learning after a year and a half of, okay. So we've done 3, 4, 5, so now we go to 6. So 8.6, Ms. Postlev, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the city of, oops, am I on? Yeah. An ordinance of the city of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council accepting the Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council Trauma System Grant in the amount of $3,131, amending the general fund budget of the city of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 to increase the budget in the amount of $3,131 to provide funding for purchased medical supplies and equipment used for providing emergency medical care in Leon Valley, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good
Mayor
evening,
Ca-
Chief. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay, good.
Mayor and Council, this is simply a grant that we receive from STRAC that we attempt to get every year, and we use these funds to offset the cost of replacing equipment and supplies. There is a price that goes with it. We have to attend a certain number of meetings. We have to participate in a lot of things. But there are things that are through our normal course of business, and it makes us eligible for this funding.
Great.
And this year we bought equipment with it that the city didn't have to provide.
Okay.
It's
That's
that
simple. Okay.
It's free.
I know. Thank you.
$31.30.
I know when I read this, I said, gosh, why can't we put that in the consent agenda? But we can't because it's an ordinance, so, because it was so simple. So, all right, are there any questions for Chief Naughton on this? All right, Chief, well, we'll see you next meeting where we'll actually vote to pass this ordinance. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Agenda item number 8.7, presentation of the future of voting in Bexar County and discussion and possible action to reduce the number of election day poll sites in Leon Valley. And Sandra, you're up next. Thank you for being here again.
It was very interesting and exciting
Yeah,
to
there's
read
nobody
about.
here to see it. Okay.
Lots of
Make this-
change.
Yeah, I'll make this real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this is a 2-part item. The first item on here is the new voting machines. I'm sorry, where's the other one? Oh, see, you wanted this green one, but nobody uses it. But
It's been used.
okay, so the Commissioners Court approved this new machine at the May 21st hearing. This is going to be, all of Bexar County is going to have to use this machine beginning with the November elections. Okay, so real quick, the machine is still a touch screen equipment. So the voter will go up, make their vote, and then when they hit submit, it will shoot out a little card. You can kind of see it right here. It'll be a hard piece of paper. They can check their vote. They can look it over, because a lot of times people will say, oh, I didn't vote that, whatever. This, they can actually look at it. They can take a picture of the phone. They can take it home. It doesn't matter. But if they take it home, they're not voting. So just remember. But then they walk it over to this machine that looks like a big trash can with a thing on it, which it is, really.
They drop it in?
Drop it in.
No way.
sucks it on in, and then you get a flashing thing on there that says your vote has been cast.
Interesting.
So I am going to try to get one of these. I'm going to try real hard to get one of these at the next coffee so people can see it or hear at a meeting or something. Of course, they're not cheap, so if I can talk Jackie into doing that, we will. But I think the voter will like it because you can actually touch it and see your vote, you know.
And I think that's really smart because if people go in for the first time, they're going to be freaked out. Like, what? I'm used to this little thing on a desk, you know, a little, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, this is a real change, even though it looks like it's pretty simple.
Now, you know what, as I'm hearing you and I'm thinking about it, this top part right here, the little screen, can still be carried out to the voter who's going to vote curbside. How it's going to be put into that box from there, I don't know. Unless this thing comes on wheels and they're going to push that whole thing out to the curb, I don't know that part. This is all still fairly new, but I'm sure the county will figure that part out. This machine, this equipment is going to cost more, but Jackie says that the November election is not going to cost us more. May will probably cost more. Of course, we didn't have that information before I put it in budget, but we always have a little bit of cushion in there, so we should be fine. Okay, so the next part of this is the countywide polling places. At that same Commissioner's Court, the Secretary of State's, or the Commissioner's Court has said that we are going to reduce the amount of poll sites on Election Day. Going through this really quickly, the reason for that is that they have too many people that, okay, I can tell you. Millennials.
The millennial? Okay.
Yeah. According to some, they don't like being told where to vote. So this opens it up to just like early voting where they can go anywhere in the county. So they're hoping that this increases voter turnout on Election Day, and that's the whole purpose behind this voting center thing that they're doing.
So are they going to do voting centers for early voting and for Election Day?
The whole county will run on voting centers.
On voting centers, so
period.
no more early voting sites, it'll be just voting centers countywide.
Correct.
For both the early voting time and the election. We're still going to have our early voting time, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
And,
Okay.
and the conference center is still, you know, we're all good on there.
All right.
The change in this voting center happens where right now we have five precincts. Here's our precincts. We have City Hall, Leon Valley Elementary, and John Marshall where our 5 precincts vote. What the county is asking us to do is to try to reduce this to two poll sites. So,
Excuse me, we used to have one at the middle school too. There were only
Pat Neff?
10 or
Figures?
less.
Or
Pat
No,
Neff.
Pat Neff.
I have not. I've been here 5 years, and I haven't seen you use Pat Neff in that 5 years.
I wonder when that left.
Before me.
No, we voted there in 2015 and 16, I believe, at least. Just a few. There's just a few voters, but they
Like
voted.
a couple of streets or something only.
Not since I've been here have we used that. And that's just, again, a county thing. But I will tell you, just as I told Mayor Riley, we did get a lot of complaints in the last 2 elections where we're getting calls. People are saying, you know, with all the shootings, why are we inviting people to come into our schools? So that might be something to consider when you're talking about this. You've got City Hall and the Conference Center as 2 good locations to hold your elections. Another option might be the library. We have that front room. There's probably a name for it.
Peggy Bissett.
Okay.
Peggy Bissett
That
room.
That's a good location. I spoke with Ms. Kinsler about it because you don't even have to go into the library. You can actually go in from that front porch. That might be a room to consider to use. But that is what the county is asking you to do at this time. They do have to report to the Secretary of State's office by August 22nd on your decision. It's not much time, but we do need to decide something tonight.
On the conference center, when we always have the early voting in the conference center, that doesn't really impact our ability to still rent out the center, right?
It doesn't, but if you were to do, sometimes they had 11 elections. If they have runoff after runoff, I would think there were 11 in a few months. 2 years ago? I just remember it was one after the other.
We had
But if you're having a wedding reception or something and you've got voting going on in that hallway, it could affect it. Has it yet? I don't think so. Crystal might be able to know historically. I haven't seen where anybody's said no, I don't want
I
to
think
do
people love the conference center to vote at. That's why I was thinking about keeping that consistent with City Hall.
Oh,
Maybe just those
definitely.
two. Not the library so much, but anyway, but I want to hear from y'all too. So, Mr. Martinez, you had your hand up next.
I kind of like the idea of the library.
Oh, do you?
That way it's out of the way. It doesn't affect any, hopefully, rentals. But why two places? Why not just consolidate and just have one for Leon Valley?
You could. My only concern with that is if you put it all, say, at the conference center, I'm afraid it might affect Eduardo and Ruth's parking area. I don't know if the conference center could handle, if you said this is our only poll site, and then you do have runoff after runoff. Because remember, it's not just Leon Valley elections, it's the county.
Well, there's a lot of parking down between the library and the...
True, but you do have Saturday elections, and if there's an event, like, say, Trash and Treasure, or, I don't know, it's a lot, it could be a lot of voters. I don't know if you could handle all that.
But then again, you're going to consolidated voting where you don't have to vote here. You could,
That's
you know,
true.
you could go, Balcones Heights, typically the
true.
mall
That's true.
has a big voting
Wherever
place.
you're at.
You can go wherever
When
you're at.
shopping or something, yeah. Mr. Bradshaw.
Personally, I think it's better to have two sites for a couple of reasons. And I like the idea of having the library, if not the conference center, because if you go to the conference center, because that's where you've always gone, you're like, oh, well, there's the library, and they're not going to miss it. They're still at the same spot. And the other thing, for having two sites, I would say that City Hall would be the other one, because people coming up and down Bandera Road, they say, vote here, and they'll know, okay, it's time to vote. So because not everybody goes down Evers and over there. So I think those two would be ideal.
But you prefer the library over the conference center? Is
Well,
that what I heard?
either one. The
Okay.
conference center, but if there's
All right.
conflicts, I haven't checked out the library area you're talking about, so as long as
Well,
it works out.
I think they have activities and they use that room, but I just don't know how we would impact that for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks? Early voting plus,
For the library you're talking about?
they have story
Yes, I don't-
hour
I don't
and,
know.
that kind of thing. They use that room, so, yes.
Personally, I would
Counselor.
say the conference center and City Hall, but didn't we run into that problem when Anna Sandoval had some kind of event?
We weren't allowed to talk
Oh,
near it.
they weren't allowed to,
'Cause I
they
think the
said that
people
she
were
was
too close.
campaigning,
Yes.
even though
Well,
it
her-
was
her
a...
paperwork had her
Yeah,
name.
That's a good point, yeah. Well, we just have to remember that you can't rent the facility for that kind of function, I guess, but anyway. And that, it was a freebie anyway, she wasn't paying for it anyway, so.
I was going to
Counselor
say the
Charles.
library, but I'm not sure what they have in that conference room, so.
That little small room, yeah.
They always have something.
I mean, they have drumming on Saturdays. I mean, they use that room. You wouldn't believe it. They do. So we'll have, Teresa's not here. So, but I guess what I'm hearing, the consensus is either City Hall for sure, and either the conference center or the library, but not the schools. Is
Not
that
the
what?
schools.
Yeah, not the schools?
I think it'd be good to
So-
keep it away from the schools.
Yeah. So, Sandra, could you ask the library how they feel about using that as a voting center for like 2 weeks? I'm thinking maybe the conference center is better, and we just have to limit the who can rent there if it's a political or political event.
I could, but
I'll think.
we have to give them a response because they have to respond to
Oh, we
the
have to do it
Secretary of
now.
State.
Okay, so we
by
can't,
the
we can't
22nd.
get you to do research
We
for
don't
us.
have another opportunity, I
Yeah,
don't
the
think, to get.
20th.
The 20th? Is that too close to when you have
And
to
to
give
tell
your?
them the next day.
You think
I
that's
could
a
give
little?
her, we could maybe amend it last minute if that's possible, but I think before, I think we'd asked Sandy, and that same reason that they had activities in there, they shot it down, but we could always amend
Can we make
whatever
a
decision.
make a
tonight.
decision to use the library, and then if you find out that that's not going to work, then we can amend it right before? Would that work?
Wouldn't the library be a lot less costly to the city than keeping the conference center open?
My opinion, yes. I like the idea of having it at City Hall because people come to pay their water bill and do other business here, and it's nice to just make the stop and come in and vote. Plus, it's City Hall, and that's what you're supposed to do here, that's what you do. But, yeah, I could see where, it interferes with the coffee, like Chris and I were just talking, it's always giving me a little heartburn because, we're having the coffee and it's, election season, and, I've got candidates who are doing a coffee and they're on the ballot and, you're voting. It's just kind of not, it's just, I'd rather use the library,
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
avoid the conflict, I think. And one other benefit I just thought of is, get people into the library. You go vote and you say, oh, I'm
And
gonna
if
go
you
to
had
the
to
library.
wait, you could read.
There you go.
Do we really have to pick?
I have a
either
question.
the library or the conference
Do you want
center?
to? I just have a question about the library. I just have a concern about so many voters, and it's right there by the children's wing. That door, I'm assuming, locks between.
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right, so they can enter and exit through this.
Yeah,
Okay,
it does
all right.
lock.
We just got to remember too that we can go anywhere. We don't have to go anywhere in Leon Valley. We could vote anywhere.
That's right.
And as long as that's advertised, there won't be a big bunch in one place if they know they can vote anywhere.
Right, and that's one of the things that, well, there's a couple of other things. Ms. Jackie said that, the county can come into any public building. They don't have to get permission, but they're trying to ask people, hey, where do you want us to vote? They do have some places that are saying no, and they're coming in, they're saying, we have this right, we're going to come in. I did mention to Mayor Riley that there are some cities that are opting out completely. They said, well, you know what, we don't want other people voting in our city, we're not going to do it at all. So
They're not going to vote?
Can't do that.
no,
We
they're
have to
not
have a
going
place
to
to
have,
vote.
they're not going to host a poll site.
Oh,
So some of the clerks and I are getting a group together, and we're going to start talking about maybe some fees, because in 14 years of myself doing this, we've never charged. But if cities like Leon Valley are going to take the brunt of the voters because other cities are opting out of hosting, then you might have to start considering charging. So you would take like your utility bill for the month and break it out, and maybe the county has to pay your utility bill for those days or something.
Okay.
So
All right, so.
we'll talk about that later.
So it means that, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
City
More
Hall
discussion.
and the library or conference center would have to be open the whole time, not like now where we just have the one early voting. They would both have to be available for
City Hall would
early
have to be
and
available.
regular.
Correct.
Is that going to impact that room?
It would.
It would. So, okay, well, it just, but we got to have vote. We have to have voting sites here. We just have to. That's part of democracy. Who would like to make a motion? Because it is a motion here.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
That
Possible
we
action.
reduce the places to the two, City Hall and either the library or the conference center, if the library is available. To me, that's the first choice. And if not, the conference center.
And eliminate the schools?
And eliminate the schools, yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by Counselor Bradshaw to designate City Hall and the library/conference center, depending upon availability, for voting centers in the November election, eliminating the school options in the past.
All elections.
All elections. Okay, all elections, not just November. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it. I can't wait to see those those newfangled machines. All right. There's not too many people. Any citizens to be heard?
Mayor, I have
Yes.
one other question.
Yes, sir.
And this is for Kelly. I should have asked it in her section.
Okay.
Looking at your city manager's report, why is the City of Leon Valley playing collection agency for Tiger? You know, that to me, that if they don't, if a resident doesn't pay their,
Can you explain the report that you're talking? Because we don't play collection agent for Tiger.
there was several people that got citations for not paying Tiger.
No, they didn't get citations for that. They get citations for not having service.
Okay, yeah, for
That's
not
in the
having
code.
service.
So that's not, that's the same.
Mr. Martinez, yeah. Mr. Martinez, can y'all just, I'm getting advice from the
yes,
the city
good
attorney
point.
that it's not on the agenda. You're
Right.
not a citizen, I'm sorry. But can y'all,
Okay, this is just, okay, this is,
Yeah.
in citizens to be heard portion. I'd like to know why the city is being involved in a collection agency for Tiger. That should be their responsibility and not the city's.
right, and you can get back with them. I think is what Denise is telling me, so, okay. All right. If there's no objection, it's 2 minutes after 10. Let's move to adjourn. Have a good evening, and we'll
Dairy
see you
Queen's
on
closed.
August the 20th at our next meeting. Thank you.